Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The wait is finally over. We are back. The faction war is here. And once again, we have some great players playing at the Champions of Khorne. It's going to be Bob Tresh, Human Boy, yes, leading the forces of Grand Cathay. And today, we're actually going to be having the Demons of Chaos. So yes, Demons of Chaos are being played in this tournament with no restrictions. So this is going to be very interesting. We did quite a few testing games this week, and honestly, the Demons of Chaos were very strong, but they didn't seem quite as strong as like Tzeentch and ogres. So we felt that they could be used without any restrictions, and that does include Be'lakor, but we'll certainly see how it goes today. We do also have Random Nix leading the forces of Kislev. Should be great to see the great Hussars being led by our mighty Polish champion. Inticity is going to be playing Nurgle. Now, this is something I'm really interested to see. Inticity has won the faction war many times, of course, historically with Vampire Coast, but now we're going to be seeing him on Nurgle. I'm really curious to see what he's going to be doing here. I have no idea. He said that he was actually confident in Nurgle. He believed in them. He had some good success in competitive play. So I am really curious to see what's going. Next, we have Ice Power Total War on the mighty forces of Tzeentch. The barriers will be flying, and the big chicken, I'm sure, will be feasting. Grom Brindle of the Sons of the Mountain Clan going to be leading the Ogre Kingdoms, and the Great Loopy leading Slaanesh. I'm really actually quite excited to see the first matchup. So, not the first matchup, but one of the later matchups is one of my favorite ones to watch in the entire game. And having seen Loopy play Slaanesh, and I don't know if I've seen Bob play Khorne yet, but they are going to be facing off a little bit later on. And that matchup is so fun. It's fast, it's furious, it's hard hitting, and I think it's going to be great. So, for the brackets, we're going to be taking a look here. The first matchup of the day is going to be the Ogre Kingdoms facing off against the Demons of Chaos, Nurgle versus Kislev, Slaanesh versus Khorne, and Cathay versus Tzeentch. Now, some interesting feedback from the previous tournament, not feedback per se, but information. We did actually see Cathay consistently defeat Tzeentch in that tournament. I believe they defeated them twice. It might have just been once, but it was a very decisive win for Cathay. So it's really cool to see the paradigm shift of like what factions can actually compete better in land battles versus domination. Obviously, in land battles, I think factions like Cathay are much better because of the ability to have uniform formations and consistent harmony and a weight of fire. It's a little bit harder to get that with like a bunch of crossbows and domination, for example. A couple other things. Pendulum is banned for today's tournament. And of course, the rules have been updated, not only for my tournaments, but in general, with the fruit rules to ban Gorgers down to 2. So you can only have 2 Gorgers max. And yep, no Pendulum today. So that's going to be fun. So you won't be seeing entire armies getting deleted by one spell, which I think should be a good experience for all. And it is about time to get this party started in the first match. So let's go ahead and switch on over here. It's going to be the Demons of Chaos facing off against the Ogre Kingdom. So we'll give the players the green light here in just a second. Just going to have a sip of water and we'll hang out. Optimus Pine asking, how are you already awake? Well, you know, for these type of tournaments, I'd like to get them started a little bit earlier. Granted, it just occurred to me last night. I was like getting ready for bed. I was like, wait, normally faction wars have, 16 players. This one only has 8, so it's not going to be terribly long, but that's okay. It'll be a little bit shorter for now and be a shorter format in general, but it doesn't mean it won't be fast and furious. So should be great. This is a land battle tournament, so typically Faction War has always been done as a land battle, and I think we're going to keep that tradition for now, but I will be starting a separate Faction War for domination at some point. So what we'll do in the future, the way that we recruited people for this Faction War is basically I mentioned it on stream. I was like, hey, I'm going to be having a Faction War, and the folks who are in it basically more or less reached out to me and said, hey, I'll play in your Faction War. But in the future, this one is obviously just kind of a showcase, and we're testing Demons of Chaos, but in the future, we're going to be doing it as an open qualifier. So basically, anyone can try to qualify in a big tournament. And how it will work is if you get the farthest in said tournament with like Ogre Kingdoms, you'll be earning a spot in the Faction War as the Ogre Kingdom. So it's a really fun format. All the games are best of 1 with the exception of the grand finals, which are going to be best of 3 because, playing best of 3s over and over in mirror matches is a little bit redundant to watch unless you're like in the grand finals in my experience. So that is that. Jan, greetings from Poland. Let's go. All day, man. All day. It's going to be good. Most of the maps that are good in land battles, we're going to be using today as well. Yeah, we're just getting ready for when there's going to be 24 factions. Dude, that is going to be insane. When we have just, oh my god, 20 plus factions, that Faction War is going to be like a 5 or 6 hour stream, which I'm on board for. I'm good to go. I might need to get like a co-caster for those, like someone to cast with me. Now, I can solo cast for like 5 or 6 hours, but it's certainly a lot more comfortable to cast like these longer events with other players, Yeah, faction. I like that, Count Saruman, faction conquest to separate it from the traditional one. I actually like that. I think that's a really good idea, Saruman. I might steal that from you. All right, so here we are in the first match. It's going to be the Demons of Chaos facing off against the Ogre Kingdoms. We have Hadri's leading the forces of Be'lakor. Dude, I'm so hyped to see Be'lakor in a tournament. He's such a cool character. Then we have Grease's Goldtooth, who's going to be led by Grombrindle, the Sons of the Mountain representing. So Be'lakor, of course, a lot of people don't know what he does. So we're going to take a look and break down his abilities, but it looks like it's going to be a Grease's pick against Demons of Chaos. And this is pretty hype for sure. And as you can see, the Demons of Chaos have a combination of units from the different gods. But again, we've done quite a bit of testing this week. We played, 20, 30 games, and really the Demons of Chaos were losing probably more than 50, 60% of their games. They're still very strong, but they didn't seem like super broken. Probably the strongest thing on the Demons of Chaos roster, at least in our experience, was actually Be'lakor. Be'lakor seemed to be in like an absolute middle linebacker and was the one thing that we were like on the fence about maybe restricting. But aside from that, it didn't really seem too bad. And honestly, Be'lakor was very lightly armored. So we had a couple games with Be'lakor where basically he would just get peppered down by like crossbows and any sort of shooting. Kislev and of course Tzeentch and Cathay were able to really effectively deal with him. So I'm quite curious to see. So this is the first match of the day. Thank you all for joining. Players are loading in, of course, from all over the world. So we'll give it some time and we should be good to go. Dude, I can't believe we're getting a Grease's pick here in the first game. It's weird to not see the players' names in the loading screen. I agree. It is a very, very strange thing for sure. All right, so taking a look at the forces of the Demons of Chaos. Now, this is where it gets really, really spicy. Firstly, we have the Be'lakor. Oh my god, look at this guy. What a beast. And as far as his spells go, Pendulum is banned, but he does have the Shadow Shroud. This ability is very good, and he also has 10,000 HP, so he's like an absolute raid boss. But this one gives him 40% ward save for a short period of time, so if he's being focused by like shooting from the ogres, you could pop this and do pretty well for yourself. The Dark Master is his other ability. This one allows him to hex the melee attack of his opponents. In terms of shadow spells, we have Melkoth's as well as Enfeebling Foe, so very basic spell kit, but certainly not bad. And his other abilities are the Lord of Torment, which basically allows him to heal if units are wavering, so he kind of has a Slaanesh type ability, and he does have Whispers in the Darkness. Now this one's really cool because it actually removes immunopsychology on nearby units. Now he himself doesn't cause terror, he actually does. But he doesn't cause fear. Okay, it looks like they actually ended up like kind of reworking that in terms of the tooltips. Now for the rest of the Demons of Chaos army, it's going to be a front line of blue horrors, obviously one of the better infantry units that the demons have access to, with some pinks in the back. Now the front line is going to be Nurgling. So basically the Nurglings here are going to be just applying poison, which is kind of cool. So you can mix them in with other combat units and you're going to be getting like a cheap source of poison in your front line. In the back we have Khorne Dogs, so it's going to be 4 Khorne Dogs, 4 blues. We do have a Soul Grinder of Slaanesh. I like this a lot. I think the Soul Grinder of Slaanesh is an excellent anti-large tool, especially against the Chungus Kingdoms. Could certainly drag down some of those big boys and do well. And last but not least, we do have a Beast of Nurgle. All right, well, that's pretty cool. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on to the Ogre Kingdoms. It is going to be an Iron Blaster, backed up by Grease's Goldtooth. We have a combination of Ogre Bulls and Man-Eaters with Iron Fist. Interesting, you don't really see the basic Man-Eaters or the Iron Fist one terribly often, but these guys pack a huge armor-piercing punch and are shielded. I'm trying to think why he would want to bring these guys. Is there any armor he's concerned about? I mean, because the Demons of Chaos cannot bring any mortals. They can't bring Forsaken. They can't bring, Doom Knights. They can't bring Chaos Knights. And that really is one of the reasons why, like, Demons of Chaos don't seem too bad to play against. Because like, with the exception of Soul Grinders, their entire roster is lightly armored. Something I would have really liked to have seen from the Ogres would have been, like, Noblar Trappers or something like that to really deal with those big threats. So, yeah, and Greasus is here too with double Iron Blaster, I think, or excuse me, Lead Belcher, and a Caster of the Great Maw. So the battle is underway, and the Demons of Chaos are going to be advancing, while the Iron Blaster, I would imagine, is going to be shooting. If I were playing the Ogres here, probably what I would do is just get that Iron Blaster and sit it on top of Be'lakor like the entire game. Just no mercy, just shoot at that big scary demon, because Be'lakor is a raid boss. You think that Greasus is tanky with 8,400 HP? Well, hello, let me introduce you to Be'lakor. 40% ward save and 10,300 HP as he menacingly flies over that giant barricade. Look at the Iron Blaster trying to shoot him, but since he's sitting on top of the pillar there, it's like having trouble drawing line of sight. Oh my god, that is so funny. But Greasus should trade very well into Be'lakor in a straight-up fight. He does have anti-large and has some really good kind of combat debuffs. And now the forces of the Demons of Chaos are descending here on the Ogre Kingdoms, as the first Iron Blaster does start to rip its shots, or the only Iron Blaster, I should say, into the blues. But I mean, it doesn't even get through the shields, right? Lead Belchers are shooting in. I feel like he's got like too much like hard armor-piercing shooting against like this demon roster. We need to see more like anti-light. I'm talking like Ogre Bulls with dual weapons to cut through all these like squishy infantry, but hopefully he proves us wrong, and we can see a really epic game here. Now on the other side, Be'lakor lurking up in the skies, just flying about. In the bushes, we do have the 2 Khorne Dogs. And the frontline fighting will be here soon. I would imagine the Man-Eaters and the other Ogre Bulls will pile in to try and deal with the Nurglings. And Hadri is very wisely flying about with Be'lakor, avoiding most of the shots of the Iron Blaster. Although I would imagine the Lead Belcher will switch to him pretty soon. Like, I think they're shooting at the Pink Horrors, which seems like a little bit of a strange choice. Nurglings will defeat Gnoblars pretty decisively in combat. And with the Blues shooting overhead, yeah, you can see all the Blues and Pinks are being given attack orders onto the Lead Belcher here in the back. So the Ogre Kingdoms look like they're being enveloped pretty effectively. Khorne Dog's going to be moving in on the flank, and now the shooting is going to be going after the Soul Grinder. I think that's a really smart choice for the Ogre Kingdoms. Focusing down the Soul Grinder does get rid of a big anti-large piece as the Ogres do scream into the front line, and they're going to be popping some popcorn here as the Nurglings are going to be getting hammered, but look at that torrent of fire. Oh god, that's going to hurt. Look at the HP loss on the Lead Belchers. And immediately the Demons of Chaos do bring the bounce of power back, or at least the value bounce up here, as they massively just wreck those Lead Belchers. That is some big damage. Now on the other side, we get Be'lakor getting in there, so the big man does move in, but Man-Eaters with Iron Fist. Man-Eaters do pack some serious armor piercing, and again, apologies for the lag. There's going to be a little bit. You never know. We have players connecting from all over the globe, and yeah, it can't happen, but this one isn't too bad. Scepter of the Titans is activated. Okay, so Grease's Chungus Tooth here does have 844 weapon strength. Be'lakor does use the Shadow Shroud, and is going to be getting 40% ward save against these attacks. Certainly going to be saving him a ton of damage, but the Man-Eaters have also piled in. Man-Eaters do have big armor piercing, but my concern for the Ogres is actually kind of the shooting coming in from the blue horrors of Tzeentch. It seems like many of the Ogre Bulls and other basic units are being hammered, and like the Lead Belchers seemed like such a strange pick to me. I don't see the Lead Belchers being good against like any of these type of units. I guess like sniping Lords and things like that, they can be okay, but overall it seems a little bit wild. Now in the back we do get Fleshhounds of Khorne shooting through the Gnoblar Trappers here, and the old Ogre Bulls holding back the Khorne Dogs, but Khorne Dogs quite exceptional against those. Now the one thing that's going very well for the Ogres is actually the Greases versus Be'lakor trade, but in the back, Hadri's of course knowing the threat of the Iron Blaster is going to be getting his Soul Grinder of Slaanesh and is going to be going after the big cannon piece, which is super important. If this thing were allowed to kind of sit and shoot, it could easily destroy this Soul Grinder and really cause a lot of problems. But really, I do feel like the Ogre army in many ways had a lot of inefficiencies. Like Man-Eaters with Iron Fist, you're paying for a ton of armor piercing against a roster that has no armor. Lead Belchers are also a heavy armor piercing shooting unit. I understand the Iron Blaster. I feel like that's a good choice always because of its damage output. But Grombrindle had probably 3,000 to 4,000 gold spent on really inefficient units. And here you can see the forces of the demons are just swarming all over the place. And really against Demons of Chaos, for anybody watching, the best way to play against them is just bring a ton of anti-light. Just pretend like you're playing against Tzeentch or anyone that just has a ton of light armor and just maybe expect some Khorne Dogs. That's like really it. And you also don't have to worry about armor at all. So you can really focus your entire roster. Whereas with like Tzeentch, for example, if you're facing off against him, you kind of have to worry about both armor as well as light armor because of Forsaken, Doom Knights, so it makes it a little bit harder to account for. Whereas Demons of Chaos are, of course, very strong, but you know they're going to be lightly armored. Now, Be'lakor is tanking pretty well. Obviously, Greasus has been doing good, but he is pretty heavily surrounded. The Butcher of the Great Maw is moving in, and in terms of the value, is there any stabilization for the Ogre Kingdoms? It doesn't look like it. Here, the Soul Grinder does move in and really just butters the bread of this Iron Blaster, just pushing that thing back. Good night, Sweet Prince. You'll be missed as it is chased off the battlefield, and the Lead Belcher is really the weak pick here. I mean, if you're loading into a battle and you're seeing a ton of like blue horrors, pink horrors, and Nurglings, and you have like some super expensive shooting unit to go after them, like Lead Belchers are designed to kill things like Chaos Warriors of Khorne and Forsaken and like big chunky targets like that. And in this case, they're just being hunted down by the Fleshhounds of Khorne, and those big boys are not going to be having a good time. Greasus, though, I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with his performance, despite being like surrounded by enemies the entire battle. He's actually fought pretty well against Be'lakor and has gotten him pretty low, but he's been getting shot up by like all the blues and pinks and all these different units. But the bounce power is massively in the favor here of the Demons of Chaos, and that is going to be the first round going to Hadri's, showing why he is a multi-time Faction War winner. He's won the Faction War 3 or 4 times with his beloved Skaven, and has performed very well in pretty much every appearance. And well played to Grombrindle as well. I think he played fine. I just think his build was a little bit off and wasn't well equipped to playing against the Demons of Chaos. But interestingly enough, not a lot of people have played against Demons of Chaos, so I think that could have been a variable for Thorgrim as well, in that he wasn't super familiar with what they could bring to the table. Granted, the one thing I can tell you guys is just counter light armor, and you're more or less going to be fine. Be'lakor got about 1,400 value. Greasus got like 800. But yeah, the build from Hadrius was good. You get cheap poison, good shooting, nice flanking, and nothing big and fancy. Like oftentimes with Tzeentch, you'll see like, you know, Forsaken or Doom Knights. It's just mostly like smaller things. And in our testing, this has really been kind of the epicenter of Demons of Chaos. Like smaller units go wide and use like the effective small pieces from all these different armies. Yep. Be'lakor, an absolute beast. Well played to Chad Thorgrim. I'm sure we'll be seeing him back, especially when his beloved dwarves do make an appearance. And yeah, we'll get started for the next game here. So let's go ahead and switch on over to the graphic. These, again, are our champions for today. So you have seen the first match. A salute to those who have fallen. Bardzo dobrze, Grombrindle. We will see you on the other side, my friend. So I'm going to update the bracket and we'll get this going. Now, Demons of Chaos, we're allowing them for Faction Wars because obviously we usually have a sub-faction, but we have Demons of Chaos, and why not have Be'lakor? And honestly, in our testing, Demons of Chaos this week, so it was mostly myself, Hadries, Aerocrastic, and a couple other folks testing Demons of Chaos, and they won about 50% of their games. And honestly, we're losing very consistently against Tzeentch, and Ogres actually were beating Demons of Chaos pretty consistently as well. But the build from Grombrindle, I think, was just a little bit off in my experience. So the Demons of Chaos will move up. All right. So another thing that we do with these events, which is very fun, is we do the Match Madness. So here's the bracket. You can see the Demons have advanced. Is we do Match Madness. So how it works is if you're in my Discord, we give you guys a blank bracket, and you can fill out your predictions based on what you see before the event. So if you guys want to get involved in the future in that, you just have to be in the Discord, and the individual who gets the most correct guesses on the bracket wins like a $20 Steam gift card or something. So it's a very fun event that we do. So yeah, I'm curious how everyone's predictions are doing after that first match. So next up, we have, that is not it. It is going to be Nurgle versus Kislev. Let me go ahead and see if I can find the lobby here. All right. And let us find Kislev versus Nurgle is going to be our next match. Excellent. Now, I'm really excited for this because I want to see what Anticity is going to be doing with Nurgle in a competitive sense. He obviously was a huge innovator as it pertains to the Vampire Coast in the days of old. So I want to see what he's going to be doing with Nurgle, who is widely considered to be one of the weaker factions overall, you know? All right, I think I found their lobby. Very cool. And we're all set. We are all set. So the Turtle Fields is going to be the map. We have Anticity facing off against Random Nyx. Very excited for this one. A heavyweight clash. Both of these players have been hitting the game pretty hard since launch, especially with domination mode as well. But here we are. So let's load into the battle. Scorecards are all updated, and thank you again for joining. It's going to be a super fun tournament today. And now it is time for round 2. They can start whenever they're ready, so no need to wait for me. We have the forces of Nurgle led by the Kraken King, and Random Nyx representing his people with Kislev. Poland is here. The Hussars are here. Let's see how this match goes. Yeah, a lot of people haven't practiced too much against Demons of Chaos, but I mean, in our testing, they weren't really overpowered. Honestly, they didn't seem as strong as Tzeentch or Ogres. And yeah, why did we not see any Gorgers in that matchup? I guess the Gorgers are a little bit vulnerable against some of the shooting, but with Ogre Kingdoms, you can often use Gorgers as like a flanking unit. You can just use them on the sides, and oh my god, this is exactly what I was worried about for, look at this build. So with Nurgle, I have not been able to, for the life of me, to be able to defeat the big Elemental Bears. And there are 2 of those bad boys here. We have double Elemental Bear facing off against double Soul Grinders. Soul Grinders will be very good at killing the infantry and archers, but that's not what you need to worry about. Nurgle kills infantry very well. But where Nurgle struggles horribly is dealing with some of these bigger threats. Oh my god. Guys, the dreaded double Elemental Bear. Oh, look at this. Zargard in the front. We have a Patriarch in the back. Kossars in the back as well, with Bariots and an Ice Switch of Ice. Oh my god. 1 second, guys. I'm just going to check something real quick, so hang tight. I just want to make sure the double bears are allowed, and if not, we'll just let them, we can let them repick or something, because, it's more of a casual event today, so we're going to be chilling. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me just double check this. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to bring 2 of those, but we're gonna check nonetheless. Yep, you're allowed to bring 2. All right, so we're all set. Yeah, they're not terribly powerful, but against Nurgle, they certainly feel like it. Yeah. All right. Dude, I have no idea how he is going to kill these 2 bears. I have no idea. The mighty war bears of Kislev rise from the earth. So it's going to be bear sleds, which pretty much counter Forsaken, super hard, backed up by 2 elemental bears, and obviously just holding forces. So you guys think undead units are tough to break? Zargard take it to another level. These things are just middle linebackers. So there are 2 of them, double bear, with a Patriarch as well, who does have Salix Lullaby to drop some fat heals, and Ice Witch of Ice with Heart of Winter, as well as, I can't see what that other spell is. I think it might just honestly be Heart of Winter. Let's see, yeah. Oh my god, all he brought was Heart of Winter. Oh, this is gonna be crazy. But yeah, Anticity is gonna do very well against the Zargard. I just don't know how he's gonna deal with those big Chungus bears. I mean, you know what, on that coin, like, Soul Grinders aren't bad in melee, and Nurgle does have access to healing. So maybe, just maybe, the double Soul Grinders are going to be able to get some decent kind of poke and stroke on the big bear units, backed up by the Cultists and the Herald. The Herald, of course, has the Stream of Corruption and the healing abilities and the damage reflection. But Nurgle's army is mostly Forsaken. It looks like it's going to be Forsaken and Nurglings. Forsaken are one of the better units, and Plague Bears are honestly pretty terrible. But the Bear sleds are moving in, looking like they want to go after the Forsaken of Nurgle. But for the most part, just going to be shooting these guys down and getting some nice poke. I could actually see a win for Nurgle here if Nurgle is able to kill all the infantry and just like tarp it and like break the vigor of all these units and then eventually just attrition them down. Maybe it's possible. Now in the front, we're going to be getting the bear sleds moving in, going to be going after the Forsaken, and the bears looking quite happy as they feast on some of the foul Forsaken here. But this is what's really good about Soul Grinders in this matchup, is they're pretty fast and hard hitting, so the Soul Grinders can actually move in and push back the War Sleds, and the War Sleds will be forced to retreat. Now, Nurgle using the Locus of Fecundity, it's one of the activated heals from the Herald of Nurgle. It costs no one's magic and honestly heals the Forsaken pretty well. In terms of value damage done, it's not too bad at this point. Oh, a huge stream of corruption going down by the Kraken King. What a beautiful play. Nailing the Zargard, and look at this. We actually have the Soul Grinder shooting at the bear sleds. Okay. Oh, the breath attack from the bear. Here it comes on top of the Forsaken. Big damage. big damage on those guys. Actually, not too bad. Okay, it only took out like 9 or 10 models. I saw the wrong health bar there as I was looking. Another breath attack coming into these Forsaken, doing some pretty sweet damage, and now these Soul Grinders trying to shoot into the Kossars in the back as the forces of Kislev move up closer and closer to the hordes of Nurgle. Nurgle certainly not having a great time, getting shot up pretty good by those War Sleds, and the Elemental Bears looking to move up. Now, fighting in the forest actually might be good for the Kraken King here. I'm not sure why he's... Well, I guess he just wants to shoot with his Soul Grinders and get a little bit more value before he fights. But basically the thing is that the big monsters are going to be taking a penalty for fighting in the forest, right? So Soul Grinder shots moving in, going to be going after the Kossars in the back as well as some of the Zargard. And the old Soul Grinders just moving back and scooting and shooting. Nurgle has become the ultimate kiting faction here, and is going to be moving back. You know, something I really wish we had. I wish we had a chat box so I could like talk to the players and stuff like that. I really hope that Creative Assembly adds chat back into the game relatively soon with the old chat DLC. So Bear Sled's moving out, as are the Elemental Warbears. Elemental Warbears are eyeing their prize, and Soul Grinders shooting into the sleds, but they do almost no damage to such targets. And it looks like the Zargard are moving up and through the forest, and the forces of Kislev are going to be moving to try and engage Nurgle here. Nurgle does get a little bit of a surround, but nothing too crazy. And the Bear Sleds could just use all of their ammo if they want to and just kind of play this game, which of course is fine. You know, they can sit and shoot, and they can just kind of play the shooting game with one another. And Nurgle does have the capabilities of healing through a lot of this DPS. And ooh, another stream of corruption going down. Oh, that was so good. Beautiful, beautiful. That hit a ton of damage on those Zargard, and those guys are getting very beat up. And Nurgle is keeping up on the value, which is a big win for them because Nurgle can heal, and Kislev can heal as well, but they can't like heal quite in the same way. They have the Patriarchs with the Salix Lullaby, which is very, very good, but it's not going to be quite the same. So Soul Grinders shooting in once again to the Light War Sleds, getting a little bit of damage, and the two Cultists are moving out to absorb some shots, which I think is a good play. The Cultists, of course, have regeneration, so shooting at them isn't going to be like super cost effective. The Chariots could charge in, and it looks like a Locus of Fecundity is going to be going down once again to kind of heal up those Forsaken. And the Zargard just kind of hanging out in the bushes, but I would imagine that there's going to be a stream of corruption going down again. Are they lined up? You could actually do one like down sideways like this, and it would hit both of them and do a ton of damage, but we will have to see. So Light War Sleds, still shooting and poking, just using their ammo. I think they're trying to shoot at the big shooter guys. Yeah, the Soul Grinders, which is a good choice for sure. And some of the old Kossars here in the middle are going to be getting popped as well. Not too much damage. Kislev's super hard to break, but yeah, here comes a stream of corruption. That's going to be a nice one. Man, losing a Zargard unit like outright like this is definitely rough. And now you can see the passive has been popped. So the thing is, these Zargard are just going to eventually break. And Anticity's running a little bit low on ammo, but like I think he's gotten his money's worth for sure. Taking out one of these very expensive elite units is going to make his infantry like much more effective. And now it looks like these Soul Grinders shooting into the Light War Sleds. A little bit of a mistake in my opinion. I think the damage isn't like super good there. Gonna have to buy a DLC for every word you want to for every word you want to type there. Yeah, no, for sure. That's gonna be the plan. So Nurgle moving up and around, maybe looking to get some sort of a surround here as the two Elemental Bears are just kind of pushing out and getting some old breath attacks. Chariots moving in, another breath attack coming in from the big bear. And yeah, it's gonna get some okay damage. They were kind of down a little bit of a grade right there, so it wasn't too strong, but here comes another one. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is like, Anticity is more than happy to do this. just poking down the infantry, because now Kislev is going to have like next to no infantry left. Like one Zargard is almost gone. Nurgle's taking a bit of damage. Forsaken are beat up. The Forsaken here in the back are also quite damaged, and the 2 Soul Grinders of Nurgle have taken a slight amount of work. But I would imagine Winds of Magic for Anticity isn't too bad. What is this debuff up here? Cloud of Flies. Okay, will recharge if in melee. Got it, got it. So Nurgle going to be circling about, looking to get a flanking position. All their forces, I think, are going to be rotating around. And the Herald of Nurgle's taking a little bit of damage. And that is going to be the Dazen Song of Winter Sunlight. So that's the one that gives vigor. So it keeps your army fresh. Although the bear sleds are actually still fresh despite all that shooting. And so too are the elemental bears. The Nurgle army is going to be pretty fresh as well. And more shots coming in is, oh, a big stream of corruption, dude. Those streams have been so good. Those Zargard just get shreked, and also it does trigger their passive. So neither of the Zargard, I think the first one might still have it. Yeah, because I think you can only proc once, so that must have been the other unit right there. Anyway, Soul Grinder shooting in, and yeah, the old Zargard are just getting popped, man. I don't know if it's worth it. I feel like engaging while those Zargard are healthy is going to be quite a bit better for sure, although that Herald of Nurgle really got popped pretty hard. Man, he's going to have to use another heal there. So Locus of Fecundity does go down. And the Bear Sleds on the other side looking like they might want to engage here. Some of the costs are shooting out. And now the big Elemental Bear is getting shot. Okay, he actually took a little bit of damage there. But the Bear Sleds definitely doing some work. And they might get tar pitted a little bit, but the mass of those Bear Sleds is pretty insane for sure. I would like to see the 2 Soul Grinders maybe attack the Elemental Bear with the Cultist right now too. I feel like that'd be a nice play. Some of the Barriots do take some damage, but not before they get a little bit more value against the Nurgle forces. We do have the Herald of Nurgle in the back chasing them, and he is on his Rotfly and hits pretty hard. And the Bear are going to be dropping another breath attack right here for sure. Yeah, the Nurgle forces definitely having problems looking to crack this Kislev formation, but I think just getting your Forsaken to the forest would be the smart play for Anticity at this point, because, you know, the bears will not fight well in the forest. Large units are penalized when they're fighting in the trees, whereas the Nurgle infantry will heavily crush the Kislevite infantry. And the chariots won't fight well in the forest, the bears won't fight well. I think that's really the play. And man, those breath attacks have been something truly foul this game. More shots going into the back, just hammering into those forces. Definitely need a little bit of mass to deal with these chariots, though. It's been very, very tough for sure. But yeah, I guess the idea for Nurgle here is just to try and kill all the infantry. And from there, yep, the first infantry unit's broken. It looks like the Kossars are terrified and running for the hills as the old Soul Grinder's going to pull back. Elemental Bear Goon Squad, really got to watch out for that. But the Bear Sleds are causing so many problems, and it seems like Nurgle doesn't have too many good answers here. The first summon's going down. I would recommend definitely just using one summon at a time, but it is going to be the old Plague Bears. So Plague Bears on top of the army, going to help grind against the Zargard. Nurgling's getting in there, Forsaken moving in as well. And, ooh, the Ice Switch does overextend a little bit, so the Ice Switch could potentially be popped here. We do have a Heart of Winter going down, which is going to be pretty sweet. It's going to be hitting quite a bit of that Nurgle army, and the value is heavily favored for Kislev, but if there's like a big overcasted Fleshy Abundance, which hits like the entire army, which I believe there just was. No, that's Fecundity. Yeah, that's the army ability. That's going to be very strong. So yeah, the Kislev army is basically going to be run out of infantry here in a second. They're only going to have like their big monsters, which will not want to be fighting in the forest for their sake. For sure, because they're going to have a pretty terrible time here. One of the Elemental Bears, a little bit damaged. We do have the 2 Soul Grinders. Heart of Winter goes down and does some great work, and right now you can see Kislev is pulling ahead on the bounce power as the Nurgle forces on the far side are punished pretty badly there. And yeah, it just seems like the bear is so hard to kill, and like even the Nurgle infantry just got crumbled by the bear chariots. That's been my big paradigm in this matchup. I thought about doing like double Soul Grinder, but I think you have to come in for like just a SEM abuse build, like with like Beasts of Nurgle and things like that. I also was experimenting with Exalted Plague Bears in this matchup to use their throwing attacks against light war sleds, but right now it looks like Nurgle is definitely in a bit of a tough position. They have a Cultist of Nurgle. I believe there's another summon of Plague Bears they could drop here. One Elemental Bear here is taking quite a bit of damage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And here comes another summon there. Another Wind Spell should be able to break those Zargard, and the Plague Bears will be like a bit of a temporary time-buying mechanism here, but look how badly the Soul Grinder's getting beaten up. Also on top of that, the Ice Witch of Kislev is able to summon a Snow Leopard. So the Snow Leopard is a great anti-large tool that's able to chew through the Soul Grinder pretty darn effectively. And yeah, the Herald of Nurgle is getting beat up. Really, the conclusion I've drawn from this one is that you need a Great Unclean One. The Great Unclean One can heavily outtrade the Elemental Warbears. It's vulnerable to firepower, but you can see I think this is going to be more meta for Kislev, at least in land battles, is going for these like big monsters and these big beasties and kind of doing their jam. And Nurgle's holding on pretty darn well despite the circumstances. The 2 cultists fighting, but the Bear Sleds are just such an unholy nightmare to deal with. Like, really, really powerful unit. Nurgle just doesn't seem to have too many answers against them, to be completely honest. I mean, you can use spawn and things like that, but yeah, it's tricky. Another Heart of Winter going down, which is going to be punishing, and that's the thing, when Nurgle commits to the blob, they just get hammered by the Heart of Winter, which does so much damage. Ice Witch getting hit here, but the Bear Sleds are moving in as well. And yeah, looking pretty grim for sure. Yeah, sleds do shoot in combat. They're the same as War Wagons for the Empire. The Empire War Wagons do shoot in combat. But really, like, A lot of this was probably more of a build loss, because the double Soul Grinder against the double Bear, like Soul Grinders are designed to kill Archer heavy armies with Kossars, and they could do almost nothing against Elemental Bears that do have healing, and that is going to be a victory for Kislev. GG, well played. That is a wild one indeed, and showing the power of the Kislevite Bears. I mean, honestly, it feels really hard. It feels like Kislev might be really favored in that matchup. I'm sure someone like Anticity is good enough to go back to the drawing board after a game like this and come back with a build that's going to be stronger. But in my experience, you have to go with a Great Unclean One. If you don't, the Bears just kill you. But a Great Unclean One will sit there, Mortis Engine down all the infantry, survive the shooting against like War Sleds, and just like take down these Bears pretty effectively for sure. But it was a valiant attempt. Huge value on this this Herald. That was beautiful. I mean, those wind spells were really, really good, but I had a game against Kislev the other day where I basically had 2 Beasts of Nurgle, 2 Cultists, and a Herald, and I couldn't kill a single Elemental Warbear that was backed up by a Patriarch. I just couldn't. It like literally got 6,000 value and soloed my whole army. Nurgle doesn't really have like a dedicated form of anti-large. The closest thing you have is the Great Unclean One. Like hands down for sure. It is brutal indeed. Yeah. So, let us go ahead and advance and set up the brackets for the next round. So here we are. And yeah, it's going to be good. It is going to be good indeed. So these are the graphics of the players. So far, we've had 2 eliminated. Nurgle has fallen, as have the Ogre Kingdoms. So the next round is actually going to be the Demons of Chaos facing off against the Ogre Kingdoms on the top side of the bracket. Quite excited to see how that Duel of Fates does end up going. 0-2 on your predictions? Yeah, that's all right, man. It happens to the best of us. My predictions are actually, I made some predictions behind the scene, and so far I am 2-0 here on the front. Yeah, I expected the Demons to play pretty well, especially considered they're with Hadries. And Nurgle, I just haven't been able to beat good Kislev players consistently at all. So, yeah, it just feels like the Elemental Bears plus like the healing stack and the Barriots are just too hard to kill. Like, you have no way to kill the Bear Chariots. Like, how the hell is a Nurgle player? Like, yeah, Rotflies, sure, but you can just kite them and, you know, shoot them to pieces. It feels really, really, really hard. Yeah. Nonetheless, the brackets have been updated here. Well played to Anticity. He took Nurgle last minute. He literally signed up yesterday for this event and was a true champ. So next up, we have Slaanesh versus Khorne. This is a super fun matchup. And yeah, let's do it to it. And finding the old lobbies. We do have a little bit of a better lobby system. Spectate, 1, 2, 3. This is going to be Bob Tresh versus Loopy. It is going to be Bob Tresh versus Loopy. So changing the nameplates, and we should be good. Khorne versus Slaanesh, I think, is one of my favorite matchups. I really like how fast it is, how furious it is. And the players, of course, can now start whenever they're ready. When we can get this party, started. Going to be much faster. Faction War with only 8 factions is certainly quicker. But let's adjust the nameplates, make sure it looks good. Loopy's name needs to be a little bit more prominent there. And cool. So we have ODM versus RTK. We do have a miniature clan duel here, which is going to be good. And we are on the Kislev Troll Country here. One sec, just answering some questions from the players. Okay, one sec here. Perfect. Our lobby is up. The players may start. We have Bob, which I think has a picture of Oscar the Grouch as the avatar, and then Loopy looks to have Elithanar, the Shadow King. Very cool. So the map is going to be the Blood Fen, if I'm not mistaken. This is a good map. There is some terrain on it, but it doesn't matter with these two factions who are just going to be going fisticuffs there. Just discussing some stuff with the players here. Planning to do any FFA or land battles after. So today we're just going to be going through the Faction War tournament. Yeah, that's the plan. All right. Cool. Some of the players had some questions about the upcoming matches, and let me go ahead and tag these two fine gentlemen to let them know. And then Khorne. All right, so yeah, just a quick update for the last game. So both of the players kind of did agree that there was a little bit more, too much forest, like a little bit of forest camping from Kislev. So basically what happened was Random Nix offered to replay the match because of the forest, the fact that he was in the forest a little bit too long with his army. However, Inticity believes that he had no chance of winning that matchup based on the build, because how the replay would work is they would have to play with the same armies. So in that case, then, you know, they're just going to move forward from there. Yeah, because like he doesn't think even if there had been like no forest there, it wouldn't have mattered. Like he would have had no answer for the bears and things like that. So just a bit of an update on the last game. That's what I was talking with the players about. All right, so let's do it to it. Yeah, he basically is saying like I even if there was no forest there and Kislev didn't have the forest advantage. Although honestly, the forest didn't really. I mean, I guess it protected the units from the Soul Grinder shooting a little bit, but really, I mean, all the infantry died. He just had no answer for the SEMs. So in the end, it really didn't matter too much. So I suppose, yeah, that's why they don't want to do the replay. No problem. All right, Slaanesh versus Khorne. This is the third match of the day. Yeah, Nurgle's roster has like very few answers. The best answers they would probably have would be some sort of flying, like rot flies. But even still, like in my experience, rot flies damage sucks. Like it's not that much. Even though their weapon strength is high, like they just can't kill the bear sleds. Hey, Nolosi, thank you so much for the 50. Getting this party started. Thank you, thank you. Papa Nurgle tried, but yeah. And somebody in chat saying, I think Nurgle was advantaged by the force since Kislev had more money invested in large units. Yeah, I mean, you do get penalized for fighting in the trees for sure, but it just, yeah, Nurgle, that build had no chance, I don't think. Like, I feel like Kislev could have even, like, gotten rid of 2 Zargard and the Nurgle army still could not have won. Like, he could have given up 2,000 gold for free. It just seemed like there was no chance based on the builds that we saw. You need a great unclean one. You have to have one. Yeah. Nurgle's definitely in a tough spot. They're definitely in a tough spot. That matchup is winnable, but it's really, really difficult. Your opponent has to blunder, for sure. Yeah, and like everybody playing in today's tournament is more or less friends. Like people who play together quite often. So, you know, people are going to be pretty amicable. Like Kislev offered the replay to Nurgle after the match, but Nurgle was like, I have no chance against your build, so let's just keep moving forward. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It is going to be the Dark Prince's Legion, led by ODM Loopy. It's going to be Inkari, backed up by Marauders of Slaanesh Spears. Yes, okay. That's interesting. So that, I think, is a tech piece to counter the spawn. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. We got Seekers of Slaanesh into the Sunset, and more Seekers and Hellstriders, and then there's going to be a Soul Grinder of Slaanesh as well. Okay, I really like the Infantry Corps. Demonette's going to be kind of cool too, but they also do potentially get popped pretty bad by the Halberds. Now for the forces of the Khorne Dogs, oh yeah, we have the Duel of the Legendary Lords. It's going to be Skarbrand the Exiled, looking so awesome. You know, those are the 2 armies I want to collect in tabletop. When the Old World comes back, I want to have a Kislev army, and I want to have a Khorne army. Like that is what I'm really feeling for the Old World. Because I just want to like paint one of these like huge greater demons. And if Skarbrand is like in fantasy, that's going to be so rad. But it's going to be Chaos Warriors with Halberds into the Sunset, backed up by the spawn of Khorne. It looks like it's going to be 3 of those bad boys. We have the 2 cultists of Slaanesh, or of Khorne. Are there cultists of Slaanesh as well? No, okay, it's just Khorne. So yeah, 2 of these guys for the Bloodletter summons, and that's it. So basically, Slaanesh really likes to use their hard-hitting cavalry and chariots, and well, chariots are kind of broken right now for them, but the Seekers and the Heart Seekers, so having the Halberds is really good, and then to deal with all the light infantry, you stack them with spawn. This is going to be pretty hyped for sure. Khorne Furies are also very good here because Khorne Furies do decisively defeat the Furies of Slaanesh. What if Tzeentch Barrier acted as a 60% ward save and did not regenerate? Oh, no, that would be broken. Yeah. Like what you could do with barriers is have the barriers only block like 60% of the damage coming in, right? Like there's a lot of theory crafting that you could do with barriers to make it more fair. But yeah, all in due time. I'll help you paint them if your haggard hands give out. Hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the offer. Maybe I'll take you up on that someday. But I'm so excited for the Old World. Like, I love 40k. I've been painting my Black Legion army quite a bit, but I really, really do want the Old World to come back. So I can, like, because I'm so into the fantasy element Like, I know the characters. Like, I'm so embroiled in the community. And, yeah, I'm stoked. We get Farmbrand versus Inkari. This is going to be great. This is a fun duel of fates. So Skarbrand is just moving up. Now, the one thing you have to watch out for if you're Slaanesh is do not get rampaged with Inkari and a bunch of halberds by Skarbrand. If Inkari runs in and he gets rampaged, that is probably going to be game blouses. Now, Slaanesh is going to be going for a big surround. Both of these players have been practicing these factions pretty consistently, so if you guys are either a khorne or Slaanesh player, and you're really looking for what to do in this matchup, I would highly recommend watching these two players. Oh, the overcasted whip on the halberds doesn't kill any models, but does a lot of HP damage, and that spell is very cheap. What's good about that spell as well is Slaanesh's passive in terms of its spell passive, its lore passive is very strong because it basically triggers a huge melee attack buff for your whole army, which is quite nice. Looks like Cavalry may be thinking about moving in there. The forces of khorne moving up, and Slaanesh is just trying to position around the army to get like a good surround so they can really hammer those guys. What's going to happen is the Cavalry of Slaanesh will attack into the back, and then the Furies are going to countercharge them. That's going to be the game plan, more or less. But here it comes. Loopy moving in with the spears, trying to get a nice little isolation on the spawn of khorne. And we will see. The first fight is about to be underway as the Marauders of Slaanesh do attack in there. And the spawn are really going to butter their bread pretty hard. As long as they're backed up by halberds and the spawn aren't like solo into spears, it's going to be a massive favor for khorne in terms of that fight. Oh my god, look at the spawn of khorne. They're like lawnmowers, dude. These Marauders are getting busted up. Now, big flank, more spears coming into the back. Huge engagement. We have the Hellstriders moving in, and the two Cultists of khorne are going to be dropping their Bloodletter summons, I would imagine, but that is a nice flank for sure. Devastating Flanker will be active, but those were Hellstriders. Those are just anti-large cavalry, so they're not really going to do much against armored infantry. Inkari moving in with the Soul Grinder, trying to overwhelm this flank. Up on the top side of the battlefield, we do have the Spears moving in. And I think I like the idea of Slaanesh abandoning this flank since Skarbrand is up there and it's pretty scary and going for a big alpha strike down here. And it looks like that is going to be happening. In the backfield, the Furies of khorne are being attacked by some of the Hellstriders and other cavalry units and spears. This is a big win for Slaanesh in the backfield because Slaanesh is going to be getting a ton of freebies from the Chaos Furies. Now it looks like we do have the Demon Duel. Rampage is down. Inkari's going to want to pull back. If Inkari takes one more big hit, he could get rampaged and get out of control, but it looks like he's fine right now. Huge demonic portals being summoned from the forces of khorne. And the spears are fighting pretty well. But in the Lord fight, it looks like Skarbrand is beating up Inkari. A lot of damage coming in. 4,900 to 6,000 on Skarbrand. And Inkari is rampaging. This is like every Slaanesh player's worst nightmare. Getting her big, expensive Demon Lord rampaged into big alpha Skarbrand is going to be super tough. Now, one thing that I think would have been really nice for Slaanesh potentially in this matchup would have been using a bunch of the Exalted Demonettes. I feel like they would have traded super well into this khorne army, but in this case, Inkari is unrampaged. And honestly, Skarbrand's really beat up too, despite the rampage and the favorable engagement there for khorne, having halberds and other support units. That's really not too bad for Inkari, trading that decently into Skarbrand. But really, it seems like the khorne army is just countering the Slaanesh army pretty effectively. I think the Exalted Demonettes or some dedicated armor piercing was needed because the Slaaneshi front line did pretty much nothing. The whip going down, Inkari's going to get smashed by big Papa Skarbrand here. And it looks like Inkari is unstable, wavering negative 55 leadership. And the Khornate forces, all of the spawn, as well as the halberds of khorne, these big, manly halberd boys, certainly able to get some good grinding in the front. And I think that's probably going to be game over. I don't see any way for Slaanesh to come back, as Skarbrand just really establishes dominance in the demon trade. And even though the Soul Grinder has been getting good value and Skarbrand is beat up, the rest of the fighting just went so horribly for Slaanesh. Like, they had no answers for the halberds, really. Like, what in this Slaanesh army is going to kill halberds? Like, not sure. The spears, hell no. Seeker's definitely not going to be an effective trade. And I think in the end, we really saw that you need some sort of either Demonettes, Exalted Demonettes, or something else to deal with those halberds, which you do have. I mean, Exalted Demonettes will absolutely annihilate the halberds, but they're a little bit weak against spawn. So that's kind of the fear. So maybe you need to do Exalted Demonettes backed up by your own spawn. But unfortunately, the Slaanesh spawn are a little bit buggy. They don't work super well. But that is a fast and furious duel. And Bob is going to be claiming victory with a very well-tuned build for sure. And I did like the build for Slaanesh too. But in retrospect, you know, seeing how the battle played out, you need something to kill those halberds for sure. Like, I think, I think maybe like cutting a Seeker and cutting like 3 of the Hellstriders and getting a couple Exalted Demonettes and even cut this. Like the Soul Grinder here, it felt a little bit awkward. For 2,000 gold, it really only got 520 back. And there's just too many halberds. Like, there's way too much like focus on that, you know, killing the big Skarbrand there. Not enough to kill like the core of that khorne army. Exalted Demonettes, in my experience, have been the one unit that's like been like super MLG power gamer. They've been really, really good. Skarbrand is really, really a raid boss for sure. All right, well played to Loopy though. I mean, I think that's a hard matchup. You know, after seeing it a couple times, like I thought Loopy might surprise us and just like do really really good here. But in my experience, it's been hard for Slaanesh to really battle effectively against khorne. And both domination, it's actually like dead even because of the mobility. But in this case, it felt a little bit shady for sure. All right, so now we have the ultimate villains of the mode of the tournament. It's going to be Tzeentch versus Grand Cathay. Let's go to the bracket here real quick. You guys can see the updates. How's everyone doing on their bracket so far? Let us know. For anybody who's participating in Match Madness, I would like to know what your scores are right now. Who is actually getting solid predictions here in ye old chat? Okay. Hopefully we can find the lobby. So let's go ahead and switch back and give me the lobby, precious. Can we search? Oh no, not the dreaded lobbies. Let me see if Ice Power made their lobby. Okay, they did. It was just taking a minute to load up there. All right, cool. And here we are. Yeah, Marauders are pretty cost effective against dogs and spawns, for sure. For sure. I think like they're a fine inclusion, but I just feel like you need something to kill those halberds because none of your cavalry are going to do it effectively. Human Boy is 3-3. Yeah. Yeah, Loopy, that's been my experience though. In domination mode at least, like every khorne player comes in with halberds and spawn against you and just has Scarbrand rampage you into the box. I feel like that's been pretty meta. Loopy saying if I knew that it would have been a halberd blob, your build would have been different. Yeah. So Loopy, I'd be quite curious. So your build, what has been your experience at playing khorne so far in Total War Warhammer 3 with Slaanesh? What kind of builds have you been seeing that kind of influenced your particular playstyle there? Unofficially 2-1. Hey, that's not bad. Thien Vu, you got to make a bracket next time. You got to do it. Taryn, can you get a link for your Discord? Yes. If we have any mods in chat that could drop a link, that would be greatly appreciated. So loading into the next match here. Just got to update the nameplates and we will be all good. But it is going to be Ice Power Total War facing off against Human Boy. Very excited for this duel of fates. And we will go from there. You know, we actually had our big tournament this week as well. We had our land battle tournament, the first one, and we saw Cathay absolutely stomp Tzeentch in that. It was like it was in the top 4 too, so it was really, really good players. And we saw Tzeentch just absolutely get crushed by Cathay. We'll see if that success can be repeated for sure, but yeah, we'll find out. All right, so switching back on over, one sec, guys. Trying to keep up with updating all the graphics and whatnot. So here we are, and boom. Look at that, the names almost fit. Ice Power's name is a little bit too long. And Human Boy's needs to be adjusted as well. All right. Very good. Thank you, Melody. Greatly appreciate it. But if you bring Demonettes, they get chewed up by Hounds, Spawns, and Furies. You'd be surprised. The Exalted Demonettes are actually surprisingly tanky. Like, they trade pretty darn well. Exalted Demonettes are probably, in my opinion, the best unit on the Slaanesh roster, I think. Like, I would always bring, like, 2 or 3 of them in a lot of matchups. Maybe not against missile factions that can, like, shoot you super heavily, but against, like, other melee factions, they grind super well. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now here we are. It is going to be Ice Power Total War leading the forces of the Great Changer. He is the villain of this tournament. Somebody had to play Tzeentch. It's funny because when Ice Power signed up, or reached out to me to sign up for this tournament, he's like, you know, I don't really want to play Tzeentch because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the Tzeentch guy who, you know, but like Tzeentch was like, we needed someone to play Tzeentch, so he ended up doing it, which was really funny. It's been Spawn Blob with a Herald and lots of light infantry. Bloodletters. Really, Loopy? Interesting. I'm surprised, like, because Slaanesh's best units are, like, their cavalry in many ways, right? Yeah, but again, different experiences. Yeah, I expect Spawn. Got it. Yeah, and that's why you have the spears. In that case, it certainly makes sense. All right, so for the forces of Human Boy, yes, it is going to be a front line of Jade Warriors backed up by Jade Crossbowmen. A lot of them. It almost looks like a Vampire Coast build. Some Crane Gunners in the back for Grand Cathay, backed up by Peasant Long Spears, double Peasant Horsemen, and who is the Lord choice for Grand Cathay as well? It's going to be Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon. Now, looking over here, we do have an Exalted Lord of Change of Tzeentch with blue fire spam, which honestly isn't going to be very good here. Like, Miao Ying does not care about blue fire. She can heal through that with a single regrowth. It's going to be pinks in the front, or in the back. Blues in the front, backed up by Spawn of Tzeentch and Forsaken. A really beautiful combo against Cathay because the Spawn of Tzeentch do have armor sundering, so they can sunder the armor of the old Jade Warriors, which is quite cool. And more Forsaken on the flanks. Forsaken were kind of regarded as the counter to many of the Cathay infantry due to the fact that they lack armor piercing. But what we did see in the tournament yesterday was that the shooting of Grand Cathay was able to focus them down, especially with the Harmony bonus because you're getting a huge reload speed buff. Yeah, it's going to be good. Classic ice picking Tzeentch. Yeah, I love. That's one of my favorite narratives so far of this tournament is Ice Power Total War before the event, saying like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the sweaty Tzeentch player. But you know, it was like the only one that we really needed someone for at that point when we were inviting him. So yeah, he just got stuck playing Tzeentch. I'm super excited to see Be'lakor in action again. Seeing Be'lakor earlier was really fun, and like, if we can get like long-term results of Demons of Chaos not being like you know, egregiously like stronger than Tzeentch and ogres, I could see Creative Assembly adding Demons of Chaos into the multiplayer like ladder, which I think could be cool. They might be a little bit stronger in domination mode since they can really like skew their reinforcements. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, no cannons is... I was expecting like one cannon, but you don't need... It's not like a super hard requirement, but I was expecting to see like one cannon parked right here to be shooting at the Tzeentch forces. So the big chicken's moving up, Ice Power moving as well, and we have a little nice village here, which the players are going to have to maneuver around. Cathay can just kind of camp here and chill out. Miao Ying's going to do her thing, and yep, looks like the forces of Ice Power are moving forward. So too are the Cathay, the yellow Cathay. I think that's the, what is that? The Celestial Guardians or the Celestial Loyalists or something? I can't quite remember. What scheme that was. So the first blue fire coming down. Okay, interesting. So using blue fire on the Jade Warriors does a little bit of damage. I mean, it's nothing too crazy. Miao Ying's just kind of like, hey man, can you like chill out over there? Like, can you stop spamming these spells? I do like the old crane gunners shooting at the big chicken, though they're not going to connect super consistently with like proper juking and whatnot. I think it's nice because it kind of keeps Ice Power on his feet here while the Tzeentch army continues to like waddle upwards. Yeah, they're moving very, very slowly though. This is like the classic Haggard vampire count tactics where you like march super slow with your army to obey the attacking rule, and then you basically just like harass with like your casters and flying characters and things like that. So yeah, we'll see about Demons of Chaos. We need to see a little bit more action. Yeah, Random says Be'lakor seems a tad strong. Yeah, that's the one thing where we need to like see more. Because like I've seen a couple games where Be'lakor just gets smoked because he's very lightly armored, but with his 40% ward save ability, it can be a little bit crazy. Okay, Miao Ying going, oh, she gets some good damage on the chicken actually. Is she faster? 80 speed against 90, so no, it doesn't look like it. But the crane gunners are going to keep shooting, and if they can keep that shield down and Miao Ying can connect again, that's certainly going to be very strong. So yeah, you just need to hit him like once to keep that shield. And for some reason, those crane gunners seem to have a really weird hitbox where they can't like actually make contact. Okay, Ice's chicken is actually getting cooked a little bit here. Miao Ying doing some great work so far. Another blue fire maybe going to be going down. It seems like the blue fire, even though I thought it was like a sniping spell, is pretty good. If you use it down the side of these infantry formations, it seems like it can be pretty darn cost effective. Okay, now it's starting to get a little bit scary because the Exalted Lord of Change is actually taking a lot of damage. It looks like up in the sky we're going to be getting some Chaos Fury sent in to maybe try and mitigate that, but Miao Ying is just on the hunt. And there is going to be a Summon of Furies as well. So yeah, that is a pretty good start for Human Boy, getting some nice damage on the big Exalted Lord of Change and also baiting out a Fury Summon, which I don't know if it's going to be like super cost effective. And the rest of the Tzeentch army is making its way across. Cathay just kind of holding. And the big chicken still being shot by the crane gunners and is taking some consistent damage while the Furies are going to be jumping in from Ice Power Total War and moving in after the peasant horseman here, which is fine. You know, it's a cheap summon. Oh man, is Miao Ying going to get another attack on the big chicken? Okay, his barrier is regenerating. And Miao Ying does get another attack. The chicken is getting kind of low. Human Boy is ahead on value right now based on the Lord. Yeah, his army's getting poked by the Tzeentch magic, but really, that's a pretty big win, because if that chicken screws up once, like when it gets near the Cathay army and all that shooting can focus fire, that could be very, very strong for sure. So yeah, little Furies attacking here into the Peasant Horseman, and that's good value too. I mean, that's a summon unit, right? So like getting a summon unit to just outright kill a Peasant Horseman seems pretty darn cost effective. Another blue fire going down once again onto the Jade Warriors in the front, as the Tzeentch army is going to be moving through this tree line, which I think is very, very smart. They do have their own pinks, so obviously they're going to want some mitigation, but the Crane Gunners, I actually think they've been really useful this game. Yeah, 5,000 HP on the chicken. Miao Ying is hunting that thing, pushing it away from the army. And the summoned Furies, are these summoned Furies? No, these are the actual Furies. Okay, the summoned ones did dissipate there. And the forces of Cathay stand at the ready. Crossbows will be shooting into the blue horrors here in just a second. Now, the tree line is going to work for both armies, because basically the tree line is going to be blocking the shots from the blues and pinks pretty darn heavily, whereas the Jade Crossbowmen, are they Jade Crossbowmen? Yeah, he does have some shielded ones. Miao Ying's on her way back now, and the Crane Gunners, I would honestly just sit the Crane Gunners on the big chicken the entire game, because if Ice forgets about that and stops paying attention, that could be a really, really big win for sure. Cathay holding pretty firm. It looks like a big flank overload, so Tzeentch is going to be hitting the kind of stronger side of the formation, actually, but the other side is a little bit tricky because of this this terrain right here. But the Jade Warriors are moving up and through, and you really, really need to target those Forsaken and Spawn down. Those are the big things that you need to really, really just try and Gatling gun down when you're playing the forces of Grand Cathay. Miao Ying's going to be moving in. I would really like to see a Storm of the Night like on top of the Forsaken box here in the bushes. And in the meantime, it looks like the pink horrors are going to be the target priority, and the spawn moving in as well. I think killing the spawn in the Forsaken should be your more kind of pressing task that needs to be dealt with. Peasant Spears move in, but they're at -5 leadership. Here comes a big spell. Talons of the Knight's going to be getting in there, and it does hit a lot of the Tzeentch army there, tearing through the barriers, and certainly going to be helping you destroy some of those blues. So the blues and the Forsaken really do take a righteous beating there, but looking at the Cathay army, they don't have too many infantry left. Some of the Jades are moving their way across, but these ones just got absolutely just gadded down right there. Now, in terms of value, though, Human Boy is massively outvaluing the Tzeentch army, but that could change very quickly now that Tzeentch is kind of permeating more into the battle lines. They have Furies in the backfield. The Big Chicken is obviously causing some problems there as well. But the crossbows seem to be doing very, very good, and Miao Ying probably going to need to move out. Is she going to be going human form here? Or she's stuck on something. Okay, it looks like she's kind of stuck fighting some of the spawn, and we'll need to pull back. So yeah, now it's time to retreat the crossbows back, send up the spears to kind of block up this advance. Halberds are holding back some Furies, but they are summoned, and the other Furies here are being attacked by spears, but they are infantry size, so it's going to take a hot minute, but the battle's actually really close. 5.4 to 4.5. The Fury play is very, very strong here, but those Furies will be disappearing, I think, in a handful of seconds. No, those are actually real ones. Okay. So crossbows being shut down right now. Miao Ying moving in to attack the Forsaken and other units. The pink horrors are getting some okay shooting, but really Miao Ying doesn't really care about being shot here. She can simply just turn into her human form and stabilize at any point there. Yeah, for Cathay, it's really going to be about trying to stabilize your missile line and get those guys shooting again. The Big Chicken moving over here to drop a little bit of support, and another Talons of the Night going down, and those Forsaken really do take a huge beating, as Human Boy does pull a little bit more ahead in value. Some of the old flyers there in the back taken out by Human Boy. Very, very nice. Now the crossbows are shooting into the Forsaken in the front, trying to wear them down. These Furies in the back really need to be dealt with. These things are just huge. They're chasing down so many of the missile pieces. Although Peasant Archers did come back, we do have some Spears on their way back in as well. And Miao Ying has been a great MVP this battle. Oh my god, if we got another Talons of the Night right here on this like blob, that would just be huge value city. The Peasants do get their harmony as the retreating crossbows run by, but they're only going to be harmonious for a couple seconds longer. And a lot of retreating missile units that still have a fair amount of ammo and could be bringing a lot of value here to the battlefield. Balance of power is relatively even. Tzeentch might actually be a little bit ahead despite the value because of the fact that they do have the barriers and basically have this kind of healing mechanic. So the value against Tzeentch isn't always what it seems. Grand Cathay still shooting up in the sky. The Exalted Lord of Change flying about while Miao Ying does get popped by the blue fire once again. The Furies have been the name of the game. Missile units are now back, though. Crane Gunners and Archers on all sides, shooting into the spawn of Tzeentch. And yeah, if Human Boy can re-rally these missile units and get some good concave fire, and if Ice Power maybe makes the mistake of trying to kill Miao Ying, I think Miao Ying here goes human form and just like tar pits in this blob and then uses regrowth on herself, and I think she would be pretty darn fine. Big shots getting into the Chaos Furies. Really got to finish those things off. They have just been an unholy scourge this entire game. It has been really, really tough. Miao Ying does get another Talons of the Night there. It does hit the blues as well as some of the Forsaken, and now she's going to be moving into the back of these Forsaken, probably getting a tear route on those guys. No, they're actually they're ITP there, so yeah, it's not going to work out too well. Spears moving in. More and more spears from all sides. The old Chaos Furies in the back, really, really problematic. Got to finish those things off. Miao Ying is going to be going human form, I would imagine, for a big heal. Yeah, it looks like she's human form, and I would see a regrowth going down soon. Archer shooting into Spawn. Spawn getting very, very beaten up. Really, really close game. This is a super hotly contested match. Blue Fire going on to Miao Ying is actually probably a big win for the forces of Cathay. Because basically, I don't see that being super cost effective. Fury's taken down here. Chicken trying its best. These Forsaken certainly need to be one of the next priority targets. Because they're going to start regenerating shields, yeah, if they're able to kind of finish off these archers. Although these are Jade Warrior crossbowmen, so they do have a fair amount of armor themselves. These spawn are very, very low, but yeah, the Forsaken are still having pretty good staying power here on the battlefield. Grand Cathay probably going to want to pull these Peasant Archers back and avoid that firepower if they can. Big Chicken with another sniping attempt, but Miao Ying is really tanky. She's still actually rocking almost 4,000 HP, so just tanking it like a true raid boss. Tzeentch is also running a little bit low in ammo. Jade Warriors across the board, fighting back where they can. They're certainly shaken and stirred, but, Cathay's holding on pretty well. This is actually a really, really tight game here. And in my experience in land battles, I feel like Cathay and Tzeentch are actually pretty evenly matched. So I'm happy that they ended up playing this matchup, because it is really tough to find even matchups for Tzeentch here. Spawn of Tzeentch getting shot pretty good by the old Peasant Archers in the back. Blue Flame going down, but doesn't do much against the Peasants. Maybe takes out like 4 or 5 models here. And Miao Ying, the Iron Dragon, going to be stabilizing here in the back. Crane Gunners are shooting in and firing, getting some good consistent value. Only 6 spawn left. These Forsaken, though, doing great work. And honestly, yeah, the pinks you probably just want to ignore and save for later. We do have some spawn fighting in the bushes against 2 Jade Warriors. Their DPS pretty pitiful for sure. Jade Warriors have really, really bad DPS. Again, relatively decent at holding, but aside from that, it's not going to be pretty. Spawn getting forced back. I think sandwiching and trying to kill these Forsaken here would be a nice play, because ignoring the pinks is the right choice, because they're going to run out of ammo and then they're just kind of a mediocre combat unit. So you're going to want to just finish off the Forsaken and the Spawn, which I think is going to be one of the bigger plays. Spawn of Tzeentch being swarmed. There's a shit ton of Peasant Spears left in this force, and they got their old pitchforks out, and these Spawn are going to be going down 100%. There's only 3 of them left, and Peasants doing some good work. Really close game, guys. The value is literally dead even. This is pretty insane. Forsaken moving across on the other side. This could be a pretty big disaster if those Forsaken collapse on this missile line and are able to take them out. That could be a big problem. Jade Warrior Crossbowmen need to create some separation as well. These ones can't really. They're stuck fighting Forsaken, although honestly they're trading okay in combat. And the Jade Warrior Halberds are fighting off these Forsaken reasonably well. So here comes the Forsaken flank. There's 60 of them. They really need to be stopped, because these Crane Gunners, I guess, are about out of ammo, so it's not a big deal. More of the issue is losing these Peasant Archers, which are pretty good in terms of the ammunition department. Looks like there's going to be a Tzeentch army ability going down, which does get some good value. Human Boy does pull ahead a little bit on value. Is Miao Ying going to be able to carry this game home? I mean, the Tzeentch army is looking to be super beat up, and maybe Miao Ying and her Spear Blob are going to be able to just kind of stay together and take out all these assets here. Yeah, definitely getting these Peasant Archers near the spears would be super clutch for sure for the Yin and Yang there. Miao Ying pulling back up in the sky, while the Jade Warrior Crossbowmen do get attacked by the Forsaken, but they might get finished off by the Storm Dragon there. We'll have to see. Spears moving in to attack the pinks on each side. We have some spears for Grand Cathay moving back in the distance as well. And this is so far, I would say, been the best battle of this tournament. This has been a really good scrappy match. Dead even. Tzeentch does pull ahead a little bit on value, but Cathay does also have healing, so there is kind of that kind of element of Cathay being able to stabilize there with the healing in terms of the actual value. Ooh, this is dangerous. 76 pinks right here with a ton of ammo. This needs to be the big focus for Grand Cathay, and you can see immediately they do recognize this, and the units are going to be moving over. I think another blue fire is going to be going down on Miao Ying, but she's got 4,600 HP, and that did like a couple hundred damage? Yeah, it does like 200 damage against her, so she doesn't care about that. About to run out of ammo on these units. It looks like Tzeentch is a little bit ahead, but like we could, if the Storm Dragon can finish off the pink horrors here and actually get some good value on those, I can see there maybe being some sort of a super hard carry from Miao Ying. We do have some Cathay forces coming in the back here to attack these pinks, which again, like I said, have a lot of ammo. These old Spawn are very damaged as well. Harmony is not really going to be in play here, although these archer units could rally, which would be strong. Like if these Peasant Spears rally and then they move in and attack the pinks and these 2 archers rally, maybe. 60 Forsaken on the other side. The Storm Dragon doing a great job fighting against the Spawn of Tzeentch with the support of some of the Jade Warriors. Wrath of the Storm active, giving them a little bit of melee attack. And the Spawn only have 6 models, and now the pinks are being attacked by Jade Warriors. Again, damage is very lackluster on those, and Miao Ying is definitely taking quite a bit from those sniping attempts from the Big Chicken, but she should have some Earthbloods in the back pocket. I would imagine there should be some. Pink Horrors fighting against Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, those units getting chased off the map. Tzeentch just barely holding on to kind of pull ahead here in this game. Miao has like 40% magic resist. That makes sense. Yeah, she's super tough to snipe. Okay, that's cool. I actually didn't know that, but yeah, she's certainly a linebacker. So there's going to be an Earthblood going down here for sure. These units are wavering, very low leadership, but Earthblood should be getting cast any second here. I would imagine there's no other reason to go into human form other than maybe to be a little bit harder to snipe. But you need to stabilize all these Jade Warrior infantry because this is like the last bastion of Cathay. Pinks are getting quite beat up. Ammunition looking very sparse. And the bounce power kind of creeps back to the middle as Grand Cathay gets that healing on all those units. And the Jade Warriors are holding on like champs. Somehow these pinks are still steady despite being swarmed by all these infantry. And the Spawn of Tzeentch, their barriers just won't break. Oh, look at the brave Peasant Spears moving in the back, though. Those Peasant Spears are going to be doing some huge work for sure. I'm a little bit concerned, though, because the Metal Caster is very strong. It's a pretty good fighter. And also, it is at like 60%. But there's 60 Forsaken here and a bunch of pinks moving across, which is just HP, basically. It's just HP. Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon, trying her best to fight off the forces of the Great Changer. But now the Giant Chicken itself does move in. And I think that is going to be a narrow victory for Tzeentch. That was a razor-thin game. Razor thin. Crazy match. Could have certainly gone either way. I think there was too many moments where the Cathay backline was getting compromised by Furies. And like Longbow Riders can be a useful tool for peeling there for sure, potentially, but they are very expensive, so they do take away from that wide build. Maybe more Jade Lancers or something. Like I'm trying to think how Cathay could more adequately protect that back line. But the Storm Dragon's just trying to fight here. I mean, I don't know what else she could bring to the table. It looks like these Spawn are very low. There's basically no Cathay reinforcements coming back. Here in the distance, oh, we do have some Jade Warrior Crossbowmen actually shooting these Forsaken, which is pretty funny, all 30 of them. And the Forsaken are getting popped pretty good. And Miao Ying, his army loss is creeping up. It looks like it is. Talk about a close game. Oh man, look at the value. That is like, you know, the army size is 12,400, so you can kind of draw a bit of a parallel, right? As it pertains to value here. But again, Tzeentch does have the healing mechanic because their whole army heals with the barrier. So yeah, that was a really, really fun match. Kind of a cool usage of the blue fire, seeing how it can actually be used against infantry. Tzeentch doesn't have access to Pendulum, but you know, that was an amazing game. Very, very well played. I had a blast with that one. Let's look at the breakdown. So Big Chicken, 2,100, but Meow Ming probably did better. Yeah, almost 3,000 on Meow. She certainly did very well. The Forsaken were certainly problematic. It's not that they got like a ton of value, but they were tough to finish off. I think maybe more Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, and there was a lot of spears too. Yeah, the other build that we saw defeat Tzeentch pretty decisively was actually like way more Jade Warrior crossbows and like Jade Infantry across the board instead of using peasants for like higher leadership and armor, but yeah, the Crane Gunners I did like, even though they didn't get a ton of value. I thought it kind of kept Tzeentch honest and forced them to like juke and things like that. So that was pretty cool indeed. So we will update the old brackets. Now we're in the top 4, which I'm quite excited for. And the matches is going to be Tzeentch versus Khorne on the bottom side, and then the Demons of Chaos versus Kislev on the top side. So we can go ahead and switch on over and show you guys the brackets and what it looks like. So let me know in the comment section, or the chat, I should say, what have your predictions been so far? How many of you guys are 4-4 on your predictions? Because, man, that was a really close game. I think Human Boy was really in that match. He played super well. Super well. That was really, really solid. Were you maxed on crossbows, Human Boy? Maybe you were. How many did you have? Are you talking about range units? I think the build we saw that was... who was it? Was it Loopy? It was whoever was playing Hadries in the tournament the other day. I think they had like 4 or 5 Jade Warrior Crossbowmen and then like not Peasant Archers. I can't remember though. Honestly, you played really well, Human Boy. That game could have gone either way for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and find the next match here. 1 second, my friends. Thank you all for joining. So these are the brackets. These are the players for today. Big thanks to all of them for joining. The matchup is rough. You had 4. Oh, you had 4 crossbows? Okay. Wait, did you have 4 crossbows? Oh, that's right. You did have 4 crossbows, but some of them didn't have shields. So when I looked at the icon, it looked different. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I actually think Cathay has some of the better chances against Tzeentch. Not to say that's like a favored matchup for Cathay. I think it's still Tzeentch favored, but not too many people have a good matchup against Tzeentch, honestly. Vicious Atsuma's 4-4, looking to win that old gift card there. So top side is going to be Kislev facing off against, let's go ahead and find them, Demons of Chaos. So we will find the bracket here in a second. All right, let's do that. We will find it. Ah, there you are. Perfect, perfect. GG, well played. Ogres were eliminated in the first round by the Demons of Chaos, and now we have a very scary fight indeed. It is going to be Hadries and the Demons of Chaos against Kislev and Random Mix. Should be very, very cool indeed. Hadries and... Really fun to be back with the faction war. Even though there's only 8 factions, it's still very interesting. It's a little bit more of a fast and furious event. And let's fix the names, make them fit. And then we can get Hadries here. Fix this. And very good. All right. So the players can start when they're ready. No need to wait for me. We'll get this going. Yeah, the Furies are really tough to stop, Human Boy. Human Boy, were you watching the tournament the other day where Tzeentch got stomped by Cathay? And it was with good players too. I can't remember. It was Hadries versus... Was it Hadries versus Loopy? I think it was. Loopy went with Grand Cathay and Hadries went with Tzeentch. And like Tzeentch literally got like flattened by them. I don't know what the build was. It was probably pretty similar to yours. I can't remember. I don't think they used the Storm Dragon Miao Ying. I think it was like a basic Cheap Lord, but that would probably be a little bit vulnerable to being sniped as well. Rain, thank you for the 100 NOK. Greatly appreciate it. Warhammer 2 is still a better game fight. I mean, you know, in many ways, yes, Warhammer 2 is better than Warhammer 3, but Warhammer 2 when it first launched was pretty haggard as well. Like there was a fair amount of issues, and yeah, I think we need to give Warhammer 3 some time to really let it marinate, and of course have some of the issues be fixed. And when like it's going to be a moot point once they add back the old world factions. Like everybody's going to be happy because it's just like it's like what we had but with more stuff. Yeah, thank you for the donation. Greatly appreciate it. All right, so here we are. It is going to be Random Nix here with old Rasputin. So it's going to be Rasputin and an Ice Witch, it looks like. And then the rest of the army is going to be Zargard. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 Zargard. Super tanky Kislevite front line. armored Kossars with spears and bear sleds, just like bring in the super tanky Kislevites with the bear sleds to just run over infantry and just cause a lot of problems. So yeah, it's going to be good. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the forces of the Demons of Chaos, it is going to be a Nurgling front line. So we got 4 or 5 Nurglings to apply poison. In the back, it is going to be Be'lakor, the Dark Prince, looking super cool up in the sky. Melkoths and Enfeebling Foe. And there's going to be Pink Horrors in the back. Exalted Demonettes also being brought in as an armor-piercing specialist, which I really like. I feel like the Exalted Demonettes could trade super effectively into the Zargard. So, although Zargard will fight back well because they are lightly armored. On top of that, a couple Fleshhounds of Khorne to try and catch the old Bariots, and Plague Toads of Nurgle. Whoa, a wild Nurgle unit being included in the army for sure. Okay, very cool. Now, let us know, who do you think is going to win between the forces of the Demons of Chaos and Kislev? Random Nix, of course, with the dreaded double bear build, taking out old man Nurgle earlier. Nurgle really doesn't have too many good answers against big SCMs. Poor guys. We're going to have to figure that one out. Yeah, I do like Longmug and Tzeentch for sure. It's a little bit scary if they go Doom Knights, but Longmug Riders just like counter Fury so hard, they kill them incredibly quickly. So sometimes you can do that, but they're very expensive, so your army's going to be a lot smaller if you bring them. So it's kind of a tricky trade for sure. Yep, so we're letting Chaos Demons go free flow in this tournament. A lot of this tournament is like a testing ground to see if we can add Demons of Chaos into tournaments and have them be, relatively fair. Honestly, in our testing experience this week, Demons of Chaos were very strong with Be'lakor. He was the one thing that like borderline might need to be limited, but aside from that, Demons of Chaos, like you can always kind of anticipate what they're doing because they're super, super lightly armored. So you know that the entire roster is going to be relatively light, and you can account for that. You can account for that for sure. So what's the difference between Demons of Chaos versus like any other Chaos faction? So Demons of Chaos can bring units from any roster, but they cannot bring mortals. So no Khorne Warriors, no Forsaken, no Doom Knights, none of that stuff. They can't bring any of the Slaaneshi mortal cavalry. They're heavily limited in terms of like mortal units, but they can bring like the demonic units. Cathay was 100% balanced for land battles before they... Yeah, I think Cathay was definitely more balanced for land battles. They're very strong there. Demons have to win. You know what? I think a lot of you guys are probably going to root for Demons because Nurgle never gets any victories in these games. So, like, at least if the Demons of Chaos win, Nurgle will be partially represented here in the Grand Finals if Hadri's is able to win this match against Kislev. But Random Nix is a very strong player, and this is going to be a tough one. It's going to be an incredibly tough one. At least Nurgle is represented here. There's Nurglings. We got some Plague Toads. We got some Frogs. Yeah, it's going to be great. And I really like Frogs. When I was in college, I've told the story. My roommate and I, Paul, we had this really disgusting like toad lawn decoration. It was like it's like a giant toad that you put in your front lawn. It's like a lawn decoration, and basically, we had it, and it was like super gross looking. It was like buggy eyes and like covered in warts, and we kept it on our toilet seat in our bathroom, and it was really funny whenever people would come over and visit. They'd be like, "Oh, what the hell is that thing?" But yeah, it was fun. So yeah, if Nurgle was given some like halberds or something, like their roster would be changed like dramatically. They could then like fight against like the bears. They could deal with like chariots by bracing against them. It's just like right now Nurgle just like has no chances against some of these bigger threats. I mean, they do, but it's like that your opponent really has to mess up. So Kislev does have the Zargard backed up by the armored Kossars and a bunch of Kossars with spears in the back. Ice Maiden has Heart of Winter, which is pretty good against demons, obviously, if they blob. I'm surprised we're not seeing, like, pinks and blues. Yeah, Demons of Chaos, we do have some in the back, at least. Okay, we got pink horrors for the shooting. But how are they going to deal with the chariots? Probably just have to get the Plague Toads of Nurgle to get in front of them. Yeah, the Plague Toads are moving up, but Nurglings are going to get hammered pretty good. Oh, okay, there are some Heartseekers of Slaanesh here. Interesting. I like that. So a single Heartseeker of Slaanesh, just to make sure the chariots don't just, like, run through your front line. Here in the front, we're going to be getting Melkoths coming in from Hadri's. Melkoths is kind of like a mini Buna effect. I believe it did get buffed. Like, if you cast 3 Melkoths, it's basically the same as casting a Fated Buna. At least in some of the testing we've done, which makes it a very cost-effective spell. Pendulum is currently banned in our tournaments, but you can still happily use Melkoths. And yeah, big man Be'lakor is going to be pretty scary against some of these, infantry for sure. He packs a huge armor-piercing punch. But if there was, like, Pendulum still in the game right now, Kislev would have, like, no chance. The 3 Zargard units would just be one-shotted, and it would be over. Yeah, Nurgle needs some new units. They're the one who really, really feels like they're suffering. And it's a shame because Nurgle is, like, my tabletop faction that I play for 40k. And they're just like, yeah, they're super haggard. So a little bit of flank pressure. Armored Kossar is going to be turning about face, and the Zargard reaching out to meet them. The bear sleds of Kislev moving in to go after the old Nurglings. So here they come, and these are heavy war sleds? No, they're light. Okay. So Blue Fire definitely getting some work in. Oh man, he better watch out, dude. If there was actually a slow, like a Melkoth on these light war sleds, the Heartseekers are moving out of the trees. And the Heartseekers could potentially get some big damage if those war sleds do get poisoned and slowed. But the Heartseekers hit like absolute linebackers. But you got to be careful with them. They're like a hardcore glass cannon unit. But nonetheless, they're able to get some value and push back the light war sleds. And honestly, the value trading is going a little bit better for Hadries at this point. Oh, the Khorne dogs are moving in. Where are they going to go, though? Are they attacking the Kossars? Yeah, it looks like they're actually attacking the Kossars with the Nurglings. And some of them are attacking the Zargard as well. Interesting. So Heartseekers do get hammered pretty hard by the shooting in the back, so they're going to be forced back here. And old boy Be'lakor, where is he going to be going? It looks like some sort of spell is going to be used on the Nurglings here. Oh, an upgraded Heart of Winter. Nice. So the Heart of Winter is going to be hitting the Exalted Demonettes. That is a really, really good cast there. And the Bear Sleds are moving back. I think the Heartseekers might need to move in once again on the Chariots. In the backfield, we do get Khorne Dogs and Toads attacking the Zargard. And the double unit of Khorne Dogs here is attacking the Armored Kossars pretty effectively. Khorne Dogs are just like a really, really tanky unit. But the Heart of Winter there did some huge work. That was able to really nail those Exalted Demonettes who were crumbling, and they were doing a really good job against the Zargard before that happened. Heartseekers moving in once again, and Be'lakor is now going in for the kill. The Dark Prince has landed and is going to be attacking the Ice Witch, or it looks like he's at least running through the Ice Witch, but I haven't really seen many of his attack animations. I would imagine he's got some cool ones. Yeah, he's got a rad sword for sure. Once again, Demons of Chaos still grinding, but Kislev is really, really pulling ahead in value here. The Bear Sleds just seem like freakishly strong. Like, I feel like many of the Demon rosters don't have too many tools, although I think a bit of a misplay here from Hadries having the Khorne Dogs. Like, they're doing okay, but I feel like maybe the Khorne Dogs going after the light war sleds or keeping those guys in check would be a little bit stronger for sure. Be'lakor making his way back in. Now going to be pinned in by some of the light war sleds here. Rasputin attacking as well, but he should have his big buffs, I would imagine. And the Zargard, yeah, just holding on like absolute linebackers in the front line as Kislev does pull more and more ahead in terms of the bounce of power. Yeah, the Khorne Dogs, I think, need to be going after the light war sleds. Like, something needs to kill these sleds or else they're just going to outvalue your entire army. Like, now they're going to be jumping into the pink horrors and getting some huge, huge damage in here, and that's going to be pretty scary for sure. Now, Be'lakor, the Dark Prince, Dark Master used on Kostalton, and he's definitely taken a little bit of damage, but Kostalton is very, very tanky, and he's all about this life. Like, if anybody has to fight the Dark Master, it's going to be Kostalton. And now there's big focus fire, and like I said earlier, Be'lakor can die relatively quickly to focus fire coming in from Kossars and things like that. He still only has 45 armor, and doesn't like being shot here, but really the name of the game has been the Bear Sleds. These things have just been tyrannical. The Zargard, though, are also middle linebackers. I really like the Exalted Demonettes pick. I felt like they were good, and maybe if Hadries had gone with more Exalted Demonettes, he could have cracked that front line a little bit quicker. But, again, dealing with the Bear Sleds has been hard. And, yeah, the Khorne Dogs are really just sitting on the infantry fights, which I suppose isn't bad for them, but something needs to get on these Bear Sleds. And Bear Sleds have bonus versus infantry, so using the dogs on them is a little bit better since they are considered large model entities, and that they can definitely get some work in there. So Be'lakor does take down the Ice Witch, or at least breaks her leadership to the point where the passive has been procced. We have some pinks shooting once again, Khorne Dogs fighting to the best of their abilities, and that Ice Witch definitely getting spanked by the Dark Prince. He is doing some big, big work here, and you can see the Frostmaiden and Vice going to be scurrying away. Another Heart of Winter coming down. Oh, that's going to be brutal. A huge Heart of Winter. The Motherland rises up to protect the Kislevites as the Zargard fight tooth and nail against the Hounds of Khorne. The Dark Master flying about in the skies, but in the end, it looks like the forces of Kislev and Rasputin will probably be holding on, as the Bear Sleds were heavily uncontested. The Demonettes kind of got crumped by the magic, and also the Heartseekers didn't seem to really get their value as they were just kind of focused down by missiles as soon as they charged in. So yeah, Demons of Chaos are, people are learning them as well. Nobody really knows the best combination of units yet, but like so far in my anecdotal experience, like I don't feel like Demons of Chaos are as strong as Kislev. I don't feel like they're as strong as Ogres, and I don't feel like they're as strong as Tzeentch. So I'm kind of leaning towards maybe just allowing them to be played because I think they're really fun, and there's a lot of potential to unlock with them. Very well played, but I think Kislev is going to be a huge contender in land battles. Oh my god, the dreaded Slaanesh bots. Slaanesh isn't even in the tournament anymore. All right, Be'lakor, Dark Prince, good value on him. Heartseekers, yeah, see, this is rough. Be'lakor, Heartseekers only got 300, and the Exalted Demonettes only got 400. That's like a really tough trade. And the Khorne Dogs, I think, needed to be used on the Chariots. Like, I think there needed to be more effort on them because, yeah, the Chariots didn't get too much value, I guess. So I don't know, maybe the Khorne Dogs were used fine. The Pinks also seemed a little bit funky. Like, they weren't really good against any of the Kislev units. So I think Demons of Chaos could totally win this matchup. I just think maybe some tweaks are needed. The Dark Master has fallen. GG, well played to the great Hadries. Thank you, Hadries, for stepping up and playing the unknown and doing very well today. Certainly some very, very fun games. So now let's get this next match ready. We have Khorne facing off against Tzeentch on the bottom side. A classic duel for sure. Two gods that truly hate one another. But Kislev has made it to the grand finals, where they'll be playing a best of 3 against the winner of Khorne and Tzeentch. Nurgle crying in the shadows as usual. Yeah, just left in the pits. It's weird how the barriers are coated in non-stick oil. Yeah, they're very slippery. They're super hard to lock down. I can see them getting nerfed eventually for sure. They're just so hard to lock down. Demons of Chaos, I mean, like the Slaanesh cavalry can lock them down, but the problem is the shooting for Kislev just peels you off so effectively, you know? And it's really tough. All right, so let's get this next game started. Well played to Hadries, man. Proud of you. It was a great match. And I'm sure you'll go back to the drawing board. I honestly feel like adding Demons of Chaos in isn't going to be too big of a problem. Like, they don't seem overpowered to me. Like, not having any of the Forsaken, Mortals, Chaos Knights, you know, Marauders of Slaanesh, like all that stuff, like, I think bounces them out a bit. Because they're all lightly armored. You know there's going to be light armor. Yeah. And typically, it's going to be Tzeentch infantry with, like, corn dogs. I won many practice games as Kislev versus Demons of Chaos. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Kislev seems really strong. Honestly, I think one of the better matchups against Kislev is Cathay. I think Cathay does a really good job against them. So do we have a lobby hosted by the Khorne lads? All right, so Khorne. And who is he facing off against? It's going to be Ice Power. All right, let's make sure. I'm curious to see what Khorne's going to do against Tzeentch. I am very curious. Okay, what is the lobby called, though, is the question. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Multiplayer lobbies need a little bit of a refresh. We'll find that in just a second.
Did not make me coffee to bed.
Just kidding. It's treason, Dad. All right. Heavy war sleds are balanced, light ones not so much. Has that been your case, Samurai? Has that been what you've kind of experienced? I find that all the war sleds are very good. All right, where are the lobbies at? Come on. I know. See, I know you guys fixed the lobbies, but they still do take a while to load, which is a little bit trolly. Waiting for lobbies to load. All right, perfect. So Hadries, I'm quite curious, bud. Having played against that build, what would you switch with your Demons of Chaos build to fight a little bit more effectively against the forces of Kislev? What would be your jam? Ice Power and Tzeentch is a match made in... Yeah, it's definitely very scary. Make me coffee too, please. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe for Demons of Chaos, you got to go with... I don't know. Do you bring Bloodletters? Bloodletters might be a good answer. Like, they're a little bit tankier than Exalted Demonettes. Maybe you go for a couple Exalted Bloodletters, but how do you deal with the Bear Chariots? Maybe you bring Nurgle Plague Toad Cavalry to, like, roadblock them and keep them from, like, charging through you. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows indeed. Bloodletter spam, I think, could work here. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think, like, how you could effectively deal with that. Oh my god, why are the lobbies just not appearing right now? This is so troll. I might have to actually host the game and invite them. Because if the lobbies don't appear here in a minute... Okay, let's see if that fixes it. There we go. All right. Oh my god. So looking for the match here. Where art thou? I will find thee. There he is. Cool. 2, 3. All set. Maybe Seekers for fast AP versus sleds. What do you think about like Plague Toads, Hadries? Yeah, Bloodletters will get run over too, yeah. Your Demonettes were doing really good until they got caught in Heart of Winter. I mean, there wasn't much you could do to dodge that. Like, you know. Like, there's so much frostbite in Kislev, so you're just kind of slowed there. All right, so Bob Tresh versus Ice Power. Cool. The map is set. The die is cast. Let us load into the battle frame. Take a look at the players here and see what schemes are afoot. Very good. Very good indeed. And let's move your name down a little bit. So we have a XMT, I believe, versus RTK clan duel here. Should be quite a bit of fun to see. And yeah, players can start whenever they're ready. No rush. Take your time with the builds, my friends. I know there are some marbles on the line here. Do demons have blood crushers? They do not have the mortal one. They have Blood Crushers, but not Skull Crushers. Also, Zargard melee defense is better than regular Bloodletter melee attacking with... Yeah, you need Exalted. It seems like a tricky one, Hadri's. Like, Kislev seems pretty good against demons in general. Like, the one faction that many people considered a hard counter Tzeentch has actually been Kislev. And I wouldn't call it a hard counter, but definitely like a good matchup for Kislev. Yeah, give Nurgle some Blight Lords with Halberds. Like, Nurgle definitely needs some cool stuff. And they need to give Nurgle like a huge anti-Lard Lord, like Tamerkhan or something. Dude, imagine if they get him riding the Toad Dragon. Oh, just this huge anti-large fast Nurgle beater would be so good. Like something that can fight the bears and just give them the business. Like Nurgle needs like an anti-large character that just like shows no mercy. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's really fun about Demons of Chaos. Certainly a lot of fun theory crafting. One Exalted Bloodletter instead of the Slaanesh one. Okay, got it. Yeah, you could do... Yeah, Flamers of Tzeentch wouldn't be very good, I don't think. Although maybe they wouldn't expect them. Because the Flamers can kill the chariots, but the problem is like the Flamers die super quick to Kossar fire, so that's like a little bit of a liability to bring them. I don't really know. You know, Hadri's, now that I think of it, you know what could be pretty good in the Demons of Chaos versus Kislev matchup would be bringing in the Tzeentch Demon Prince instead of Be'lakor. Okay, hear me out on this. And then the Tzeentch Demon Prince has Gaze of Fate. So he has snares. So you could come in and snare the bear chariots and then snipe them, right? And surround them and stuff. So every time a bear chariot overextends, you Gaze of Fate it and lock it down. And then you can spam blue fire to snipe them as well. Because you'll have Lore of Tzeentch. I feel like that might be very strong. Yeah. That could be pretty cool. Pox Riders with Lances. Have you guys seen Tamerkhan? He's like a Nurgle Lord from the end times. Oh my god, he's like crazy cool looking. Let me tell the players they can start whenever. I don't know if they're waiting for me or not, but... Oh, for the map. The map is... It's Deadwood. Yeah, they couldn't find the map in the Discord. It is Deadwood. All right. The Vampire Forest is upon us. It is indeed. Yeah, we're on the Deadwood, correct. Yeah, it's in the Discord, so it's just like in order there. Tamerkhan would be really good. Could make a kite-style build with the Bird Prince. Yeah, the Bird Prince could be pretty good with the net. He's a pretty good fighter, and plus you have Barrier too. So he could absorb the Bear Chariot shots, just like a Tzeentch Lord could, and then cackle in the night. Like would Slaanesh Chaos Warriors just have AP, for example? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they probably have like armor piercing. Yeah, like slightly worse stats, but with armor piercing. Tamerkhan would be really cool. Can we convince Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2 streamers to try this game? It'd be hard. It's so different to them. I don't know. It would be really fun, though. All right, ladies and gentlemen, taking a look here at the forces of Tzeentch. It's going to be Ice Power Total War, a true terror in the night. Backed up here by Forsaken of Tzeentch, blues in the front. Should be favoring Khorne infantry, honestly. But blues are just good at shooting in general. We do have Chaos Furies. It's going to be a blue Firecaster, Herald of Tzeentch. And then we have Flamers in the back with Chaos Knights. So, yeah. The Flamers of Tzeentch are a huge problem. These things hit like absolute trucks against Khorne, but Khorne will dominate most of the other fights in terms of the fighting. Like if Khorne has like big cavalry, for example, they can defeat the Tzeentch cavalry, their infantry beat Tzeentch infantry. It's really about shutting down the ranged assets here in the back. Do you think Demons of Chaos are a straight upgrade when looking at Nurgle? I mean, yeah, they're much better than Nurgle for sure, but like that's just because Nurgle's really bad. Yeah. it's more a case of that. And now for the Khornate army, it's going to be a Herald of Khorne, who has a ton of spell resist, which I think is good. Danger, thank you for becoming a member. Greatly appreciate it. Welcome to the Dukes of Haggard. Fleshhounds all over the horizon. Chaos Furies, and then we do have Chaos Warriors of Khorne, backed up by Cultists of Khorne and Herald of Khorne, and more action all over the board. So basically, it's just a swarming build. And, Khorne Furies, I believe, do defeat Tzeentch Furies. It's a pretty close fight. I think Tzeentch Furies, it's a little bit RNG based, but the Tzeentch Furies have an extra 1,000 HP because of their barrier, so it's a little bit unfair, but we will see if the old Furies here can do their trick. Yes. It is time. Let us see how this battle goes. And the forces of Khorne stare down their one of their main nemesis. Pretty sure they hate Tzeentch. Oh, we got Doom Knights as well. Okay, sign me up for this. Love Doom Knights. Doom Knights are super cool. Yeah, armor's pretty good against khorne too, because khorne is expecting all this light stuff, and then they don't bring any anti-armor, and it's like, oh god, I gotta deal with all that. But, you know, they can still bump and grind down the armor. The biggest thing for khorne, the biggest thing, is going to be killing the flamers. If the flamers are allowed to free shoot, the khorne army is just going to get steamrolled, and they're going to be having a very, very bad time. A very, very bad time. Samurai Warrior says khorne, I believe, win versus Tzeentch. Well, we will see, my friend. We will see. Should be quite a bit of fun. I do like the double cultist. I think that's quite nice. Being able to summon bloodletters on top of the flamers, or also using bloodletters against Forsaken is going to be super cost effective. Bob does have some dual weapon warriors, and it looks like the first blue fire is going to go down, and nice jukes right there by Bob. Bob does juke most of those shots, so the blue fire does very little damage, only 137 value. The Furies of khorne probably going to want to land and run on the ground here relatively soon, and now the Khornate Warriors are going to be moving in, but the Flamethrowers of Tzeentch are quite nasty, and that is going to do some big damage against those bad boys, and there needs to be a play to shut down these Flamers right away. So there is going to be a summon right here. The Cultist does move in, and is going to be dropping a Bloodletter summon right on top of them on both sides. So really good play by Bob there. That is going to tar pit those Flamers for quite some time, but not before they get some good volley fire. And the old Chaos Furies of khorne probably going to come around the back and dive on top of the Flamers. That would probably be the play that I opt for. Although some of them in the back are being kind of forgotten about. We'll see if they end up fighting, but the other Furies are making their way in. And now khorne is attacking from all sides. The Flamers of Tzeentch are having trouble escaping. The Bloodletter summon there was super clutch right on top of them, actually trapping them in place. On the other side, Chaos Warriors of khorne have engaged relatively safely. Fleshhounds on the other side attacking, but there needs to be some sort of pressure on these guys. And look at the Cultist just going for it, man. He's just breaking through the lines with the Locust of Wrath and is going to be attacking them and keeping them locked down. Now, Chaos Knights won't kill Cultists super quickly because of their armor. Oh, and more Fleshhounds around the back, and these other Fleshhounds are active as well. This is looking to be a pretty even game so far. As long as those Flamers remain shut down, I think khorne certainly has a decent chance. And look at this, there's going to be another Cultist summon here on top of the Flamers with the Khorne Dogs moving in as well. Nice little rear charge there. Blue Horse getting broken down, and a big Tzeentch spell. Oh, that is so cool. The gate right there, hitting those dual weapon warriors, but not before they buzzsaw through there in the front line. Now, value is pretty even at this point. But if the flamethrower units can be shut down, I think that the Khorne army may have decent chances of outgrinding the Tzeentch army despite the armor. Khorne Dogs here being hunted by Chaos Knights. Beautiful play there by Ice Power Total War. That's just like in Domination mode. That's one of your best answers for those units. Here the Flamers in the back are being hunted into the Shadow Realm while the Warriors are battling some Doom Knights here. And Doom Knights actually getting rather beat up by those doggos, and these Furies are also being pounded in a down. And yeah, the Khorne Goon Squad doing some excellent work. Value is very, very close at this point. Here we got some Furies moving across. I believe the other unit has also been taken out, so now there's not going to be any like big anti-infantry Tzeentch shooting. So even though Tzeentch is a little bit ahead in terms of the bounce of power value, I believe the bounce of power does take into effect these summon units, the Bloodletters, so I don't know if it's really like a truly accurate representation. And Bob is going to be hammering down on these Chaos Knights of Tzeentch right here with these Fleshhounds. And those Cultist summons this game were super clutch. And now looking at the Tzeentchian army, like, I feel like without the Flamethrowers online, that is going to be really, really tough. Yeah, that's going to be really, really tough. Like, to kill all this armor. And yeah, more Flesh Doggies moving on over here, going after the Blue Horrors while the Doom Knights hunt them down. So these Khorne Dogs are going to be taken out, which is unfortunate for Khorne. But in the front, Forsaken are losing most of their fights. Some of them they're doing okay, simply due to the fact that they got a little bit of magic support earlier. But the Chaos Knights of Tzeentch also battling this Herald, and the Cultist here doesn't seem to be going too well. So, you know, man, Bob is seems to be a really, really proficient Khorne player because Tzeentch is a very, very tough foe, and he's doing incredibly well. Balance of power, probably a little bit favored for Khorne, actually, as these Chaos Knights are broken. Pretty much all the infantry are just getting hammered here, and now that Tzeentch lost their Flamethrowers, there is just way, way, way too many Khorne units on the battlefield. Way too much Khorne armor, and the Flamers were really the only armor piercing he brought. He didn't really bring too much. Okay, it looks like there's going to be an army ability. Oh, nice spell there. That's going to be grabbing everyone and certainly buttering some huge bread, but Bob is pulling super ahead. And is the villainous Tzeentch going to be dispatched from this tournament? It certainly looks like the Great Chicken will finally get his just deserves, as the forces of the Blood God showing their scorn for magic as they continue to just grind through these Tzeentch forces. And yeah, that was really it, because if the Flamethrowers were online, like all these Khorne infantry would be dead. But with the Flamethrowers being shut down like that, that's a huge win. Something I thought we would maybe see from Tzeentch in this matchup too would actually be the spawn of Tzeentch, because they have armor sundering, so they can bring Chaos Warriors down to like 70 armor, and then your shooting can do a little bit more, you know, solid work against them. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be a solid Khorne victory, as Bob is going to be advancing on to the grand finals, and it probably will be Khorne. Well, it will be Khorne versus Kislev here at the end of the road. Tzeentch has fallen. Army loss is kicking in. And the Blood God smiles as his Legion advances on to the grand finals. GG, well played. What a match. Beautiful, beautiful play shutting down those Flamers of Tzeentch. Like, because those things were going to be so devastating. So devastating indeed. And well played to Ice Power too. You know, clearly he put up a great fight. He even said he didn't want to be that guy, being the Tzeentch player. But, you know, in the end, it shows that Tzeentch can be defeated, especially in open battle. No beating Khorne infantry as Tzeentch. Well, you know, Ice Power, something I've seen is actually using Spawn. The Spawn of Tzeentch with your Forsaken seems to trade pretty okay. And yeah, if you can keep those flamethrowers alive, you can totally win this matchup. all the villains fall, GG. Yeah, well, I guess Kislev is now the villain because everybody thinks the bear sleds are overtuned, so they can be the villain. Hey, Rain, appreciate that. Money for the money god. Appreciate it. Yes. Cornflakes time. Yeah, it's going to be Khorne versus Kislev in the grand finals. Really, really nice play. Yeah, these were the two things that you need to keep alive, and it's really hard to keep them alive because Khorne is excellent at swarming, like Khorne Dogs, Furies, Cultist Summons. Yeah, really, really well played to both those players. Ice Power, a true beast, as is our Khornate champion, Bob. The dreaded Bob advancing to the grand finals. I love it. All right. So, a salute to those who have fallen today. Let's update the bracket, make it official with the grand finals. It is going to be Khorne versus Kislev. How many of you guys had this in your finals? How many people here were like, yeah, I'm going to have a Khorne versus Kislev final in your brackets? Yeah. Tzeentch, dude, Ice Power, that is a huge exaggeration saying Tzeentch is C tier without Pendulum. That is not true at all. I strongly disagree with that sentiment. Like, they can definitely fight very well without it. Like, obviously that matchup becomes a lot harder without Pendulum for sure. But it's definitely winnable. Vicious Satsuma says, I've won some games versus Bob Tzeentch in practice. It's winnable. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you weren't able to protect the Flamers, and maybe your build wasn't quite optimal, you know? Like, yeah, maybe you don't go for Forsaken. You instead go for blues, go for like a wider army, and bring more of what's really good against them. GG, well played. All right, so let us go ahead and advance on to the grand finals. Yes, it is going to be good. Kislev versus Khorne. I will be hosting the lobby, so if you two are watching here, I will host the battle. Faction finals. All right. Very good. I got the lobby hosted. Let's get the invitations going out, and then we can do this. And then random. Very well played. Alrighty, so I will be picking the maps for the finals. The first one is going to be the flats of Kislev, which of course we've seen. Yeah, maps are a little bit precarious for sure. There's some tricky ones. The maps in this game aren't as good as Warhammer 2 for sure. Yeah, there's some definite inefficiencies. Turin, well, you know a cheap spell is broken when you go from S tier to C tier without it. No, it's definitely not true. Yeah, it's definitely not true. That's why my bracket predicted a Tzeentch win here, says Vicious Satsuma. So you predicted Tzeentch to win because you had been beating Bob with Tzeentch in practice games. Yeah. Tzeentch has some decent anti-armor tools. You have the Flamers of Tzeentch, and you also have the Spawn, which can sunder some armor. I've seen some. So Vicious Satsuma, when you were playing against Khorne, more specifically when you were playing against this Khorne player who just beat Tzeentch, what tools were you using to beat his Khorne? What was your build? What were some of the tactics you were using? It'd be really interesting to see your perspective on that, since obviously Vicious Satsuma, another player who's won Faction Wars before in countless tournaments, and really, really strong player as well. I think Tzeentch can totally kill armor. I mean, look, it becomes much harder when you don't have some like broken BS spell that you can just one-shot every infantry with. Yeah, it becomes harder, but it's still winnable for sure. All right, looks fine. Like, couldn't you also just use like an Exalted Lord of Metal and use like Plague of Rust, and then like Plague of Rust backed by Spawn of Tzeentch, and like maybe use some of the metal magic like Searing Doom to bombard them? I feel like there's tons of ways you can try and like work around it. All right. Yeah, Cathay is actually really good in land battles. I would still say Tzeentch is top tier, even without Pendulum, like hands down. Like, Tzeentch has so many favorable matchups. Like Tzeentch versus maybe Kislev and maybe Kislev and Khorne are a little bit more challenging, but like everything else seems favored for them. Hey Soze, Thank you. Welcome. ZJP is just one spell. Yeah, their entire faction is dependent on one spell. I don't think so, for sure. Slaanesh definitely suffers more without Pendulum. Slaanesh is like more of a case of like, it becomes harder. Granted, they do have some armor piercing. Slaanesh has a ton of armor piercing on their roster in general, so I mean, it's like doable for sure. Okay, Vicious Satsuma says he was able to beat Bob's Khorne using Forsaken, Horrors, Chaos Knights focus on killing the Fleshhounds and Furies, and then you can kite the warriors around the map. Okay, makes sense. What was your lore choice, out of curiosity? Do you think the magic resistance of Bloodletters makes a huge difference against Heart of Winter? It helps. It doesn't like, completely change the dynamic of things, but yeah, it's pretty good for sure. Can you change unit caps? Okay, let's do this. Done. Cool. So the map is set, guys. So Bob and Random, if you guys are watching, you guys are all set. Just hang tight and enjoy yourselves. All right. So we need to update the nameplates. This is the grand final, so this is best of 3. So we have Random. It's very righteous to have a mighty Polish champion representing Kislev after all the winged lancers and the bear cavalry, and the hussar wings are all modeled after the Polish cavalry of old. So pretty cool. Does Nurgle counter Slaanesh? Yes, hardcore. Yeah, Slaanesh just seems pretty weak in land battles. Yeah, in domination mode, Slaanesh's mobility can still win a lot of matchups, but in land battles, I feel like Slaanesh has a lot of bad matchups. Like, okay, so if I'm looking at Slaanesh in land battles, I feel like they lose to Kislev, they lose to Khorne more often than not. I feel like they lose to, like, I feel like even Cathay is favored versus them. They can't deal with Nurgle. Like, what are they? I feel like Slaanesh has like almost no good matchups in land battles. I don't know though. Although yesterday in our tournament we had on Wednesday, which was a land battle tournament, we saw Slaanesh being picked in the top 4, and Zyphos was able to get a decisive victory with Slaanesh against Cathay. So maybe it's just, people need to get used to them. Do you have any mods that could drop a link as well? Tzeentch suffers a lot for it, and Bob knew he only had to shut down. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like that in a lot of matchups, even in Warhammer 2. If like there's one really important thing you need to shut down, and it comes down to you being able to effectively shut it down versus your opponent being able to protect it effectively. Now, it's very, very normal paradigm. It's like an Empire. Sure, you're going to have like Dwarven Thunders, and if they're allowed to shoot all game, you're going to lose. But if they get shut down, you lose. It's very normal in Warhammer. Very normal. Yeah, that's the problem. Slaanesh like spawn are actually, they don't work. Like their activated buff just doesn't work, and then also their chariots don't seem to work very well either. Because yeah, Slaanesh is really like on the receiving end of things. Like honestly, Nurgle actually might be better in land battles because Nurgle counters. Nurgle can counter Khorne, and Nurgle can also counter Slaanesh super hard. And Nurgle can hold its own against some of the other factions, whereas Slaanesh just feels really hard, really, really tough for sure. Hey, thank you guys for dropping links. Really appreciate it. Slaanesh chariots are a little bit buggy right now. It seems like they don't quite work as intended, which is a little bit problematic. So hopefully the players remember this is a best of 3. Oh my god. The dreaded build here from Random. Oh, the double elemental bear again. So he goes double elemental bear. Because like everybody's like, yeah, I need to shut down Kislev missiles. And then Random comes in with double bear and double Zargard with bear chariots and just has this like doom stack. Yeah. Oh my god. Guys, this is some wild stuff. We have the double bears of Kislev coming in with the Patriarch. Like, I always thought Kislev would be more of like a wider shooting build with Streltsy. In many of my testing games I played against Khorne, I just go wide with like shooting. But, I mean, this is probably easier for sure because the army just feels very strong. So double elemental bear backed up by double Zargard. We do have a Patriarch. We have Kossars, bear sleds, and in the back here we do have what's it called? Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Ice Witch again with Heart of Winter. Yeah, man, Random really likes his Heart of Winter, which is very strong with a build like this because basically the bears just like tank the army and then you cast the big AoE on top of them, which doesn't hurt your own troops. It is more or less the same build. I think it's almost identical. Yeah, it's very strong. Now this is best of 3 though, so when the players are like able to kind of feel it out, they can go back to the drawing board for the next game. The grand finals are best of 3. Duh bears. Yeah, and it's like Khorne is much better equipped to fight this than Nurgle though, because like Skarbrand is going to go ham potentially, right? Like if he has Wrathful Reaper, oh, he doesn't actually have that, but like, yeah, like 2 cultists, which are very good in combat, plus Scarbrand can definitely more effectively fight back against this. We got shielded Chaos Warriors, Bloodletters in the back, Fleshhounds on the flanks, I believe. Yeah, backed up by Furies. If he can rampage the Chariots too, but I feel like this is a very, very tough one. 100%. Scarbrand definitely doesn't like bears. The Khorne Demons are so rad, though. They're so cool. If Khorne goes Halberd Core, they die. Halberds here could be okay. Definitely could be okay. But yeah, I like the Greater Demon. It makes me, you know, since this is best of 3, so let's say, for example, that this Kislev build does work, and then next game Bob comes back with like a double Bloodthirster, but then Kislev switches to like a wide gun line. There's going to be some like cat and mouse there, which is going to be very, very interesting. Yeah. The double bear is very strong, I guess. Yeah, the double bear Zargard build. We saw Anticity try his heart out earlier trying to take this out, but I mean, with Nurgle, you have like very little tools to deal with this type of play, but Khorne definitely has a better option because Scarbrand is a raid boss. He hits super hard, so he can definitely drag down the elemental bears, and the Khornate infantry are much tankier than Nurgle infantry with their armor and stuff, so they're not going to die as quickly. And yeah, that's that. That is that indeed. So moving across to the light war sleds, yeah, Loopy, you played great, man. Hold your head up high, dude. Like, you're playing with a faction that is, you know, pretty darn weak. Scarbrand's got to make sure he doesn't take this kind of damage from the bear sleds also. The bear sleds are going to pull back. Obviously, Random's going to be saving it. Khorne is going to be swarming. And yeah, Scarbrand needs to not get shot. Because he is the lifeblood of this build. Scarbrand could potentially have like a 6,000 value game, right? And just like grind against these guys. But I do feel like this matchup is very, very good for... Oh, God, don't take those shots on Scarbrand, Bob. No! And Bob needs to get the big demon back for sure. Like, you need the big demon to kill the bears. And, like, another problem is the Zargard are going to be really tough to kill for this Khorne army. Although we do have the double occultist summon, so, like, this Kislev infantry corps is going to be crumped pretty quickly. Bob is moving in with the occultists, which are shielded. So they're better... like, if you're going to have someone face tank these chariots, you definitely want it to be your occultist. So one attack there in the back. Is the chariot going to take any damage? Doesn't look like it. I would imagine we'll have our cultist summoned soon. Bob does have the Fleshhounds of Khorne all over the place. As the big demon is taking quite a bit of damage, Bloodletters looking to get around and take a bit of a circuitous angle. As Scarbrand needs to keep his health going. He really, really needs to keep them going. So the dreaded double bears of Random. The breath attacks are going to be going in and should be able to hammer into the old Chaos Warriors. Oof, that is definitely a nice little oof right there. Here comes another one into the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. And now Scarbrand will move in. Cultist summons will probably be going down like right now. Yeah, there's going to be one cultist summon. Furies are going to be target hitting in the back. Some tactical reserves from Bob on either side. I think he might have left one of the Hound units. But yeah, like, Khorne is going to get good value here in the initial fighting for sure. But Scarbrand being in here, definitely dangerous. With like all the gooning that is potential here for Kislev with the 2 elemental bears. Homeboy better watch out. So yeah, Kossars in the back are going to get massacred, obviously. Chaos Warriors making their way in. Scarbrand is taking quite a bit of damage. You got to be really, really careful with microing Scarbrand in this situation. There's a lot of hard-hitting power here. Tor's Battle Hymn is also active, so the Kislevite forces are going to be getting a ton, absolute ton of melee attack buffs. Chaos Warriors of Khorne making their way up and around, and Scarbrand once again at 5,000 HP. He doesn't... I'm surprised Scarbrand doesn't have like Gore Feast or some way of healing in combat. I know in campaign you can get that. Zargard are getting hammered pretty good, surrounded by a fair amount of good units, and I believe there's still another cultist summon. The summoned Bloodletter unit is going to be falling here for sure, but that's not a big deal, it's just a summon. Scarbrand going after the bears. I think Scarbrand should farm a little bit first, like go after the infantry and stay away from the bears, but like those war sleds are just so tough to kill in combat. Like even in combat, they're very strong against all of your armor. Scarbrand pulling back right now, the big bear moving in, Heart of Winter hammering that force. All of those Khornate warriors getting crumped so incredibly hard. And I think Khorne's going to have to go back to the drawing board in terms of how to do this matchup. Thankfully for them, it is a best of 3, but it seems like this army composition of double elemental bear backed up by the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. It's really funny because, like, I'm sure a lot of people after this, like, seeing how powerful, like, this style of play is going to be like, all right, take me back to domination mode. I've had enough of land battle for the day. But nonetheless, Scarbrand pulling back with Frostbite. Going to be retreating away. Chaos Warriors fighting all right. One cultist is getting bear slapped super hard, but this Kislev build seems really hard to deal with for melee armies. Like, I think like Cathay would be able to destroy this build super easily with their cannons, but man oh man, melee armies having to move into Heart of Winter, Zargard, double bear with like healing stacks, it just feels so hard. So cultists making their way back in. Are there any more Khornate infantry? Yeah, there are a couple Bloodletters up on the top here. And yeah, Scarbrand's still alive. I wonder where he's going to go. Maybe he's going to go try and get the Ice Witch. That certainly wouldn't be a bad play from Bob. Elemental Bear being surrounded, and the balance of power is pretty massively in the favor of Kislev, as their value is almost doubling that of the forces of the Blood God. Patriarch's going to be isolated now, and certainly is going to be the next target. Let's see what Skarbrand can do. He tries, but then kind of has to run away a little bit. Bear Sleds are getting a little bit beat up too, though. They've been sitting in combat, so at the very least, the Bear Sleds have not been cycle charging. Once again, Skarbrand moves in, but both of the Bears are just cackling at full health. And one thing I'm very happy about seeing this style of play is that the Elemental Bears are actually good, and I think they should be strong for sure. I think it's just the Barriots that are really tough, because the amount of damage these Bear Sleds put out when they're in melee is crazy, because they shoot their armor-piercing shots against like all the Khorne units, and also have a ton of AP melee too, so they're really able to chew through these. Skarbrand trying to rampage. He does rampage a lot of the army and is going for the Lord, it looks like. I think he's going after the Ice Witch, but yeah, he's just getting bear slapped by all these bears. Here, the Light War Sleds definitely taking a bit of a hammering. Khorne having a decent kind of fourth quarter here in this battle, but like, even if Khorne kind of deals with all of this stuff, oh my god, and the Heart of Winter is so good in this style of play. Obviously in domination mode, you can just kind of run away and play the objectives, but here in land battle, Khorne doesn't have a choice but to come in and attack you, at least with some units, and get caught in that Heart of Winter. And yeah, the Bear Sleds are getting worn down. Some of them are taking a little bit of a beating. Value is kind of getting a little bit closer, but I think the Khorne army is relatively close to army losses. Maybe Halberds to the way here. Like the other, because at least in a grind like that, the Khornate Halberds could definitely like put more hurt on these units, and also would have better armor piercing against the Zargard. I think you need Halberds and not shielded Khorne infantry. I could be wrong for sure, but this is just game one in the best of three. So we will see what adjustments are made here in the next match. That is for sure. Domination mode is my new best friend. Yeah, that's funny. Elemental Bear's moving in. This one's eating a little bit of Nurgle grass here. He's got like some glowing green, which is really funny. But yeah, Skarbrand's definitely a decent choice. But in the end, I mean, look at the Bears. Like, the Kislev army is so durable still. So durable. The Ice Witch is full health. Bears are full health. Like, the Zargard and the Kossars took some damage, but that is pretty brutal. Pretty brutal indeed. Now, again, any army with ranged, I think, trades much more effectively against Kislev, especially Grand Cathay. Grand Cathay actually, I think, has a relatively even matchup versus Kislev in land battles, but yeah, that's tough. I don't know how a melee army is going to crack the code on this one. Skarbrand got pretty good value. Ice Witch got 17, Bear Sleds 13. Yeah, it was just a good team effort. Like, nobody on Kislev like really performed super crazy, but it just felt really tough for Khorne to do damage. I think you need Halberds. You need some armor piercing for sure. So that is going to be game one, going to random in the best of three. So now the next map is going to be, let's go ahead and get that. So Wastes of Khorne. Let's go ahead and do the Wastes of Khorne. A very nice thematic map. Although no, that one has hills on it. So we need to pick one that doesn't have hills. So game one. Game two. Good luck, have fun. How long have we been streaming for? Oh my god, it's only been 2 hours. The faction wars are going to be so short now. I feel like, yeah, next time maybe I'll make the top 4 best of 3 as well. Like, because this was way too short. But still very fast, very fun, very furious, but that is the case. So the next map, let's go ahead and get it, is going to be, let's find one we did before. We'll do Turtle Fields. Yes, the Cathay Farmland. This is a pretty good map. I actually like this one. Time for the dreaded double Bloodthirster? I think so. But what I'm curious about is random going to throw like a full 360, you know? And just like straight up bring like a super wide gun line. And then the Bloodthirsters just suck. Because it's a best of 3. It's like watching StarCraft. In StarCraft, you see that, right? You see best of 3s where it's like, or best of 5s, best of 7s, where it's like just Protoss versus Zerg every game. And like, what will they switch, you know? Yeah. Brutal stuff. Make them all best of 3, I think. You know, Hadrius, I think we could do that. Okay, but that would be really long. That'd be like 5 hours probably. Because here's the thing. If I cast 2 best of 3s and a best of 5, that's usually like 2.5 to 3 hours. So if it's 8 best of 3s, no, 7 best of 3s and a best of 5, that'd probably be like a 6-hour stream. I think that's too much. Like, Faction War is very much a best of 1 format. I think it always really shines that way, and it's very fun because the stakes are high for your faction, but I'll have to think of that. Best of 1s have never been a good indicator of matchups. Yeah, I 100% agree. That's why tournaments are best of 3. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's take a look here. I'm going to peek and see what switches the players are going to make. I think, oh my god, dude. The mind game here is definitely a thing. If I were Bob, I would probably just go for broke on single entities. I'd bring an exalted bloodthirster, a regular bloodthirster. I'd bring some skull crushers, like, and just like go for a huge wall. Like, I'm talking quad halberds, like skull crusher, bloodthirster, and just like get in there and just hope it works. What do you think about the exalted bloodthirster with the? I think they should have a ton of magic resist for sure. That's their whole thing. Khorne doesn't have magic, so they should be durable against it. Will you play some ladder after the cast? Lashlow? Probably not. No, we're going to close it down. Yeah. But don't worry. We are going to be having some fun business this weekend, most likely. Yeah. There'll be more events coming up. Don't worry. 2 representatives per faction. You know, that's actually not a bad idea. I think for a faction war, that could be a good choice. I might have another video going up today. I'm not sure, but no. Today this will be the end of the Glorious Faction War. But yeah, this is our first one, so we're obviously experimenting. Land battles are very new. You know, balance is something we got to all figure out. But I do think maybe having 2 players for each faction could be really good. I do think having 2 players for each would be fun. That's a great idea. It's one of the better ideas I've seen. All right. What adjustments will we see to the build? I don't want to click on it because it will reveal it. So we peeked for a second. I think you go double Bloodthirster. I feel like you have to against this because the Bloodthirsters can like have enough attack damage to almost kill the chariots in one shot, like chariot models, right? Especially if Deathbringer is active. So I think you got to do that. And then maybe like Halberd spam. The Halberds will grind pretty well in the box. Obviously, Zargard will actually probably defeat a Halberd one-on-one, so you still need a little bit of support with them, but what else could Khorne do even? Spawn? Yeah, maybe Spawn. Like, Spawn have high DPS. They hit like trucks for sure. You need to be able to just grind. Like, you need to kill the Kislev army and then, like, surround the bears with chaff and just cycle charge them with your demons. That's got to be the plan. What if 2 players of the same faction get to the finals? Well, then, you know, that's a big victory for that faction, for sure. Yeah, 2 representatives could be really cool. I think that's a better idea. So for the next faction war, I think we'll do that. Two per faction. Because the next faction war is going to be like a month from now. It's going to be, let's see, March. Yeah, it'll be next, like a month, more or less. I like to do 1 per month. That's kind of the jam. Yeah. Sleds are that horrible level of OP when you have to build hard versus them, and if they're not there, you may just be screwed. It's tough. 2 people controlling 1 army. I don't think they can do that in this game, can you? You could have it be like 2v2, but then like, you know, there's more potential for lag. Like that's kind of the problem here. Random is checking the Khorne roster right now. Oh, you know who else could actually be a thing? Would be the Soul Grinders of Khorne. So you could go Bloodthirster, Soul Grinder, and then bring Halberds with Spawn, and maybe because the Soul Grinder can help with Zargard too. Will there be a domination faction war? Yeah, there will be. Yes, there will be. I'm going to call it something different though. I don't know what, but we'll get to the bottom of it, Samurai. Don't you worry. A Nurgle versus Nurgle final? I don't think that's like ever going to happen. Poor Nurgle. Yeah, Zargard do lack AP against Halberds. That's true, but Zargard have much better stats than Halberds, so they would probably still be able to potentially outtrade them. Lord of Change is very good. Lord of Changes are already super playable. You don't need to make any changes for them, bud. Very, very good units. Huge armor piercing. And that's another thing, Ice Power, like, you talking about the armor issue, like what if you had a Lord of Change? Those guys pack a huge armor piercing punch. Yeah, you could potentially do that. Yeah, these sleds are very, very scary. What will Bob change? We are on the Turtle Fields here in the Grand Finals. Once again, want to thank you all for joining. By the way, quick call out. Who here is killing it on their brackets? What are your current scores in terms of the predictions? So we've had a handful of games. We've had 6 games so far. This is the 7th match. Well, this is the obviously 8th game, but we've had 6. So what are the scores looking like? You know, I liked both domination and land battles quite a bit. They're both very exciting. I wish we could find like a middle ground between the two. Like with domination, having some more open field maps, maybe a bigger starting army, and then like that would be perfection. Like it'd be nice if the whole community played like just one. But I mean, I do enjoy both. That's the problem. That's the problem. Because I like having my big army and like clashing with someone. I think that's a really fun thing. But I also like not having to worry about rules and attacking rules and all that sort of shit. Like, So it's really like a tricky position to be in. Yeah. Nurgle needs a giant SCM made out of swarm of Nurglings hooking together like Voltron. Dude, that'd be so awesome, Carrot Shell. What about bringing a non-Lord Great Unclean one as Nurgle to help deal with large? Yeah, you could do that. Jonathan, that could work. They're not very good, though. The Exalted one is so good. Honestly, Nurgle, maybe against Kislev, goes double Great Unclean one. Maybe you go Exalted plus a regular, and then you just like heal through all the bear sled shooting, and then you have a Mortis Engine to kill their infantry, and you should be able to defeat the bears in combat. There are certainly options. Nurgle is not as easy as other factions, though. Nurgle is really tough. I mean, they're simplistic to play, but like in terms of winning against high-level players, it seems really hard. Yeah. Domination war. Yeah, we probably call it. Somebody suggested earlier faction conquest, which I think is good. Yeah. Bear Force 1. Yeah, Bear Force 1 is on the way. 100%. So, Random did not change his build. The exact same. And for Khorne, we have a Soul Grinder added in and 3 Halberds switched in for the Shielded Warriors, which I think is a good choice. I think you even go more all in on the anti-SEM because, like, even still, this isn't going to be easy. But, like, if the Halberds can more effectively grind in that box, because it's not like Random was, like, kiting with the Bear Chariots. He was just sitting them in the box and getting the healing with them. So, yeah, this should be quite interesting to see. Bear Force 1s. Yeah, I love it. Oh, man. Will Nurgle be the new Tariff Laughingstock? Probably, yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't done any videos making fun of them yet, but I don't know how much his videos pertain to multiplayer, right? All right, very good. So Bear Force 1 is over here. Yeah, the maps in this game too aren't as good. Yeah, there's not as many good multiplayer maps. Like the multiplayer maps obviously are for domination are fine, but for land battles it seems like there's not too many. Obviously we'll get all the old ones back. Did not change it. Hey, if it ain't broke, you know, don't fix it. It's kind of the old expression, which I think is very true here. Like force your opponent to figure it out, and then in game 3, because the thing is, Random has a blanket now, right? Like he can a blanket. Blanket doesn't make sense. He has a cushion. That's what I was thinking. He's got a cushion, so he can basically take a risk, and if he loses, then he's got another game to figure it out. Whereas if it works so well in game 1, I think making your opponent like try and figure it out, you know, is going to be the play here. So yeah, exact same build from Kislev. You guys know why it works. Heart of Winter on top of Bear is very nasty. And Scarbrand does have a Soul Grinder friend now with 2 Cultists and Halberd switched in. Less Corn Dogs? I think we still have 2 Corn Dogs on the outside, which is certainly quite nice. And that is it. Let us know your predictions. Do you think of the mighty Bob? Bob has had a great run today. Solid victory against Slaanesh. Solid defeat against Tzeentch. And now is here in the grand finals against the ultimate tyrant, which is Kislev. Nurgle tried. I'm trying to think of the closest match today for Kislev. Yeah, the Demons of Chaos 2 was a valiant attempt, but in the end, everyone kind of fell to the same style of play. Would this bear build struggle with? This bear build would get absolutely destroyed by Cathay. If Cathay came in with like 2 cannons, this whole build would just lose. Like it would just be put in a trash can. Like most ranged factions, this wouldn't be a threat against. Like if you're playing Empire, you're playing Dwarves, you're playing Cathay, any Vampire Coast, like this would get steamrolled by all of them. But the problem is in game 3, there's not very many factions that shoot with like heavy ranged cannon, you know, type fire, right? Safety blanket, yeah. Yeah, Blood Crushers could be an interesting choice too, but like the bears will slap them up pretty hard. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure Khorne players are going to go to the drawing board on this. Like after watching this, it's going to be like, okay, how do we deal with this? This seems very, very tough. The bear sleds will go do some poke on the approach. Obviously, a little bit of a hill. Yeah, it's like I just wish the maps were slightly better. There's just not very like every map has some annoying like forest or like ravine or hill or something. Khorne can obviously get a surround and come from the sides too if they want to, so it's not like the end of the world here. This is a 2-0 for Kislev, says Tobias. Hadri says, "That's it. What's your prediction, Hadri? I didn't see it." Kislev is becoming the true villains in multiplayer. Yeah, in land battles, yes. In domination, Kislev is obviously pretty strong, but it's not quite the same. So the bear sleds are moving up. They're just going to be sitting up in the fields right there. And yeah, here comes the Barriots. Khorne is going to maybe use their Chaos Furies to tar pit this. We'll have to see. Scarbrand wants to make sure he doesn't take damage this time around, like he did on the approach. So for his sake, hopefully he can avoid some of that firepower. Yeah, Ogre Kingdoms would also annihilate this build. Ogre Kingdoms would just come in with like an Iron Blaster and like this whole build would just be dead. Yeah. But again, Kislev probably wouldn't do this against any faction that has like competent shooting, you know? Like it just wouldn't be a thing. So the 2 cultists of Khorne on foot. Oh, they actually have silver shields. I like that change. So Bob actually ended up putting the cultists on foot, which gives them silver shields, and he's using the cultists to screen the light war sleds to make sure the shooting isn't really getting in there this time. The rest of the Khornate army is making its way forward and just getting a very slow, casual surround. So the Furies are going to be on this side, the Fleshhounds of Khorne will be on the other, and yeah, they're just going to move up, and that is going to be that. So where, oh where is Farmbrand? Farmbrand the Exiled, hiding in the trees. Now he's going to be making his way back out. You know what I could do, actually, guys, is I could just call the Domination mode Faction Wars. I'll just call them Faction Wars and just put Domination in the title, and I think that's fine. As a matter of fact, what I'll do this next week is we'll have a Domination mode Faction War soon. I'll have a Domination mode tournament maybe this weekend, and whoever gets the highest with each faction perhaps will qualify. And yeah, a Domination Faction War would be longer too, because the games on average are 15 minutes, so we could just do best of ones, and it would still be like a 3-4 hour event. Yes, Kislev does have the power of Sabaton, although not really, because there are no winged hussars. They don't have the... Whoa, what the hell was that? Oh my god! Guys, the chariot bug! Oh my god. So when chariots go down this hill, they take fall damage. So that light war sled right there, just like Tokyo drifted off this hill and like crashed into the ground. That is so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, so Kislev does have a bit of an advantage in some regard, but like their light war sled just got beat up by going down the hills. And if random isn't careful, that could happen again. Oh my god. That is so funny. So the light war sleds went down the hill, and yeah, the uphill advantage is okay, but it's really not that big of a deal. Khorne can envelop them and get on the sides and just crash if they want to. Dude, I can't believe the chariots took that damage. Don't run chariots up. Dude, I know, they took fall damage. The chariot took fall damage. The gravity falls. Kislev didn't count on the gravity. I love it. Okay, Skarbrand needs to definitely be careful here. He could go after this bear right now. That actually wouldn't be a bad fight. It is a little bit isolated here. If he could rampage this bear out in open field. But now Khorne is going to be surrounding from the sides. Khorne Dog's coming in from the back. And yeah, right now, you can see the halberds are moving up and around the side. Khorne can definitely be a little bit more cautious. You know, they don't need to engage yet. They can just use their little cultists to kind of poke. We found the counter to the bear chariots. CA is watching. That's how you counter him. Oh, that breath attack was so good from Skarbrand. And now his weapon strength is up to 683, I think. Does he have Slaughter and Carnage? Oh, it doesn't look like he brought it. That's too bad. Oh, and the chariots get rampage too. Okay, pretty good start for Khorne. Definitely much better than previous. And now halberds are up on the side. Where's the Soul Grinder? Soul Grinder's in here, in the mix. Got to watch out for Heart of Winter. So Bob is going to have to be very careful for that because you don't want to lose your halberds. They're the most important element of your build. And now Farmbrand is moving in, and he's got just rock hard going in for the kill on what appears to be the Lord. A little bit hard to say. Fleshhounds waiting up in the hills. Heart of Winter is going to go down right here. I think it already did. Yeah, Heart of Winter is hitting the entire Khornate army, so that's going to be some nasty, nasty value. But this game is going much better for Khorne, like exponentially better. The bear sleds here getting crumped by the Soul Grinder, it looks like, although it's trying to hit them. Yeah, there it just made contact. Heart of Winter is still going down, and that just gets so much value for the Kislev army because it literally hits everything Khorne has. I think Bob needs to be a little bit more cautious and just like maybe leave some of the infantry on the side, although I guess he's kind of doing that now, so it looks like that is somewhat the case. These halberds still fighting and grinding, but the bear sleds are still running through. Gravity is apparently their hardest counter. One bear sled is getting very low. As Skarbrand tries to get on that Patriarch right there, the bear sled's going down the hill. They better be careful. I gotta watch these. I want to see if they're still taking more and more damage. It looks like they're... Oh, did I see more damage as they went up that little hill right there? Soul Grinder moves out and starts karate chopping these guys. I think there's still some cultist summons in the back pocket as well. Some of the halberds are moving in now too. Soul Grinder is still chasing them down and shooting its cannon in the process. Big breath attack does not do that much damage there. And some of the Khorne warriors are sitting up in the high ground as Bob starts to kind of pull the value back a little bit. The Heart of Winter is really what gets big value for this Kislev army with this playstyle. Uh-oh. But the Ice Lord, the Ice Witch, is being hunted by Skarbrand. That would be a huge pick. Skarbrand, unfortunately, does not have Slaughter and Carnage, although he only got 15 kills, so maybe it wouldn't be that good in the first place. Halberd's moving up. The bear sleds better watch out that they don't crash and burn down here in the hill. Khorne is pulling the value back once again. And if the Ice Witch gets sniped before another one of those nasty, nasty Heart of Winters can go down, I think that could actually give Khorne the victory here in this game. One more fell. Yeah, did you guys see that? Okay, I am a little bit off the loop on this, but I have to say, this is incredibly funny, and it does feel like a little bit of karmic justice against the war sleds. Where's Scarbrand? Yeah, he's in the middle. Okay, he's just like running between the bears. The sleds are actually pretty beat up here. Yeah, there's 4 sleds here, but I think you gotta like expect a Heart of Winter right now. Like maybe pull the halberds back, although I guess some of them are getting broken back anyways. It looks like Scarbrand wasn't able to get the picks he really wanted to. He's kind of going for it. Okay, yeah, now the Ice Witch is like slightly pushed out, but he keeps like running back and forth. The bear sleds are going up and down these hills here. You gotta watch out. Ice bears are very good in land battles. In domination mode, they're not very good. Okay, here comes the Heart of Winter. Those Chaos Warriors need to get back. They need to run. Oh, that's gonna do so much damage and also slow them in place. Ice Witch is getting hammered. She is taking a huge beating from Scarbrand and probably will break after this. Khorne is pretty close in value. The Heart of Winter there not going to be quite as devastating. The 2 cultists still fighting well. And the Ice Witch is unbreakable, but she is just getting absolutely steamrolled. Rage Embodied is active, so she is trapped in place. Soul Grinder's fighting pretty well. Khorne Warrior's still here. Are there any halberds in the distance that could come back? There are some. And the Ice Witch probably going to fall here. She definitely is in the danger zone. The 2 cultists are going after the Ice Witch as well. The Soul Grinder here battling the Patriarch. Still a fair amount of Zargard there. And the Heart of Winter has expired, with the value for random being a little bit higher for sure. Halberds on their way back in, and the Ice Witch has fallen, so there will be no more magic. I think you can get 3 Heart of Winters, but unfortunately, I think if Bob had maybe gotten Ice Witch a little bit earlier, it could have been a different game for sure. Scarbrand could peel back in, go after the Bear Chariots. The 2 Cultists of Khorne trying their best to battle the Patriarch, but he's certainly not a squishy lad. Scarbrand circling up and down the hill there as the Bear Sleds move over to probably finish off those Chaos Warriors. We'll have to see. -5 leadership, and you know what? The Patriarch's getting gooned. Bob is doing a really good job with his characters. Oh my god, was that a synced animation? It looked like it was. That's very cool. And the Soul Grinder has good ammo too. Scarbrand with a big breath attack down the hill, but oh, it kind of shoots at a couple of the loose models. That's really, really unfortunate there. One of the cultists getting a little bit beat up, but so too is the Patriarch. And the Cannonball comes in, and that cultist, or the Patriarch, now has gotten his leadership broken. So his passive is going to be proccing here. I think this was a really, really valiant attempt by Bob, but in the end, I just think the Bears are going to be too much. Although he is methodically picking off the characters, and if the Bears do lose their support and Scarbrand goes like Super Saiyan, maybe. And the Chariots, though, are still like, God, look how much ammo they have. The Light War Sleds have a couple here. Unless the Light War Sleds fall to the dreaded gravity, I think it's going to be too much. Yeah, okay, the Patriarch's actually dead. This is some really, really good play from Khorne. Like, really solid, but like in the end, the Heart of Winter was too much. Maybe Khorne could have won this if the Heart of Winter was a little bit less effective in the beginning. So the Cultists of Khorne here is getting Bear Slapped. The Bear Chariots need to fall for sure. Scarbrand needs to rampage them or something and try and take those out, because then maybe Scarbrand plus the Soul Grinder would be able to have a chance here. Value is very, very close, but you have to remember that Kislev has been able to heal. So 1 Cultist is back in action. The Bariots here are running over the Chaos Warriors. Gravity is on the side of Khorne. And now Scarbrand is coming around looking to maybe try and get on the Bear Chariots and get a little rampaging effect. And yeah, Soul Grinder's pretty quick. It does have a lot of speed and it's cannon. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You better watch out. Oh, they're going downhill. Oh, man. Are any of them going to take damage? I don't know what actually triggers the damage. Are they losing models? Oh, I think one of them just... Oh, my God, dude. One of them just broke going down the hill. Oh, my God. That's so funny. All right, so over here, the other cultist is on the run. The Bariots here are forced back. So I think the biggest trick here for Khorne is to just like make the Chariots go up and down the rice paddies here. Gravity for the Gravity God, for sure. That cultist is broken. Khorne doesn't have too much left, but neither does Kislev. Kislev just has the giant bears, which are certainly no small feat. The Soul Grinder has shooting too. Scarbrand needs to maintain his health. One of the Light War Sleds is broken, and the other ones are getting actually shot by the old Soul Grinder here. Yeah, so the Soul Grinder's doing some good work. It looks like there's going to be some sort of magic used or some army ability or something. What is this? What is this? What is this treachery here? I could have sworn the Ice Witch is gone. Is this a Khorne army ability? I don't think so. He's trying to chase them. Is Scarbrand bugged? Okay, it looks like he was like weird for a second. He was like chasing those guys and it was a little bit like strange. So the Bear Sleds are on their way back. Khorne is now retreating back to the army here. Chariot racing. Oh my God, this is so funny. At least we got like a huge meme. Oh, the Patriarch's back. Okay, he actually returned. And here the Soul Grinder of Khorne getting some nice damage against the big bear. Random still. Oh, did he just get punted down? Oh my God, is gravity going to actually affect the other units too? You got to kill that Patriarch though. That guy's got to go. He is. Yep. Oh my God, the Patriarch just gets steel chaired right there. He's going to break in a second. And the Soul Grinder's back. We have the 2 Elemental Bears and also the Light War Sleds. So they're going to be making their way back. Scarbrand trying his best to survive, but these bears are no joke. They are very, very strong. And the Soul Grinder of Khorne needs to use its ammo for sure. Like, I think just turn and start shooting with that thing. Looks like some Kislevites have come back from the high ground, just some Kossars. That's pretty funny. One cultist does get slapped, and yeah, the Soul Grinder needs to start shooting. Scarbrand does take out one of the chariot models instantly, and I would imagine it'll probably break soon. How's that thing steady right now? With like 2 models and like 5% HP? Okay, now it's shaking. Man, that's crazy. Really, really crazy stuff. So the shielded Khorne warriors holding, basically just awaiting their fate. The value is within 700 points, which is pretty insane. Scarbrand chasing those guys down again. We have the double cultist back in business, and could we see some weird comeback? What is going on with the Soul Grinder here? Oh my god. Oh my god, I think Bob is getting the bug. Wow, this is like the most haggard finals we've ever had. So the Soul Grinder, oh, this is such BS, dude. This is such BS. The Soul Grinder is bugging out. There's a bug where the Soul Grinder runs to the corner of the map. And I think the same thing is happening with Scarbrand. He's like bugging and getting stuck on things. Dude, what is going on, man? This is really bad. Okay, the Soul Grinder's back. That is so shitty. Like, I still don't think the game's like winnable for Khorne, but that is like, between that and like the models dying when they go down a hill, it's just like, dude, come on. For the love of God here, this is like so janky. I don't think it mattered still, like with the 2 bears being that healthy, but like that's just a really, really feel bad thing for sure. Yeah, another nice bug. Yeah, God, we might need to replay that. That was just really bad. Because like maybe there's a fighting chance for Khorne if that... I think that happened to him a couple times too. Yeah, we'll have them replay that because that's just like, that's so dumb. We'll switch maps too because like chariots were also dying, like running down hills. It's just like so janky. That is too bad. Use the halt command to stop it? Yeah. Dude, like what is that shit, man? Like, God. At least it's kind of playable. Dude, that is cursed. That is really cursed. That feels really bad. This is so funny. Every meme happened. That's really disappointing. Because that, like, look, we're in the grand finals of a pretty cool tournament. And, like, to have that shit go down, we're going to replay that one. All right, so 1 sec here. All right, let me talk to the guys. Okay, Bob and... so between... chariots dying on grass hills and Bob not getting units running to corner, we will replay that game on different map. Bob's Soul Grinder was running to corner nonstop and Scarbrand was bugging also. Yeah, Scarbrand was getting bugged. I saw Bob trying to give orders, but Scarbrand just kept chasing something. It was like super buggy. And the Soul Grinder kept running to the corner. So like that game I think was winnable for Khorne if like maybe that stuff wasn't happening the whole game. Yeah. So we'll switch the map. Like honestly, I don't even know what map we could do. Like we could do the what are the maps that we do earlier? Let's go look here. There's like no good maps also. That's like what makes this even harder. It's like, what? Is every map just going to be on the... I guess we'll do Horned Hills. I think Horned Hills is fine. All right. So we're going to redo that one, because that was just like... that was just absurd. Bob says he's willing to accept the result. So we'll see if it's up to him. We'll see what he wants to do. I think the Blood God would want you to fight it again. Yeah, today's just a casual event anyway, so we will see what Bob wants to do. If Bob thinks he can't beat that Kislev build, then and maybe he wants to go to the drawing board for the next event, that's fine. But we'll be on the Horned Hills for now, and we'll see what he wants to do. Dude, I can't believe the chariots Tokyo drifting down the hill damages them. That is so funny. Yeah. Okay, Bob's saying, I think it's fine. I don't think the bugs for the make or break of the game. And yeah. Heart of Winter in a blob like that is too good. It is really foul. Like, and Khorne has no shooting. You know what? What if Khorne goes for like a double skull cannon motorcycle build and like shoots with soul grinders? like, and tries to do that and shoot at the chariots, I feel like it wouldn't work very well. Yeah. Random Vic saying, he's like, I didn't notice why he thought the Soul Grinder one-shotted his chariots, but it was the dreaded fall damage. Yeah, it was the fall damage, Random. Yeah, correct. All right, so in that case, it is going to be a 2-0 victory for Kislev. At least, even though the game had Haggard issues, at least it was funny. But Bob is of the opinion that he doesn't think any of the bugs that took place affected the outcome of the game. He believes he couldn't have won, so he's going to be a good sport there for sure, even though his opponent offered him a replay too. Random has been a good sport today as well, offering a replay there. But in the end, Bob just feels like he doesn't have a chance there and maybe needs to go to the drawing board. How about you play for the honor of the Blood God? Let's see. I don't know. I could try a Nurgle build. Would love to see range khorne play. Nakamura, I don't think it works. Because like the shooting of khorne is really terrible, so like usually Kislev can just heal through it using their prayers. Yeah. Man, that's so shitty, dude. What a crappy way to end it though, like with the old, like, just all the bugs, like the guy running to the corner and like the hill, it's like it just feels so bad. And the maps are also so bad too. We need good maps. Like, so many of them have bad terrain. But again, it's like, yeah. I'm sure it'll all be fixed in the future. Hey, well played to everyone, though. It was a great tournament. We had some really fun matches today. So, making it official in the Haggard Turin fashion, Kislev will be our first champion of the Faction War. And Random Nicks will be back, I'm sure, for the next Faction War. But here's the thing. We're going to be having a Domination Mode Faction War very soon. Sometime in the next week. What's going to happen is my next Domination Mode tournament that I have is going to be a qualifier, and that qualifier will have the individual who gets the furthest with each faction is going to be the champion to represent them in the Domination Mode Faction War, which we'll be having pretty soon. So if you guys are looking for, honestly, yeah, I think the Domination Mode will have less bugs and better maps because that are designed a little bit better for multiplayer. So I'm excited to see what the Domination Mode Faction War looks like. I think you'll see a very different spectrum because obviously in land battles, like certain things are much better, but yeah. It was funny. It was funny at least. The gravity thing was hilarious. I am disappointed, but it had its hilarious moments for sure. I really like the adjustments that Bob made. I feel like Bob made some great adjustments via the Soul Grinder and the Halberds, but the Heart of Winter on the Blob is really, really hard to stop for melee factions. Like, I don't see what khorne can really do against that. Like, Halberds, like maybe, yeah, Bob almost got there. Like, sniping the characters was a big start. I think maybe you got to go double Bloodthirster and just try and snipe the caster early. And then maybe you can do it. Because I think Halberds plus, like, Greater Demons could grind down the Kislev army without the magic support. That was some hilarious shit. But anyways, if you guys did enjoy the stream, do drop a like on the way out. Greatly appreciate it. We'll be back with the Domination Mode tournament and a Domination Mode Faction War very, very soon. Super hyped for that. Love the format. It's definitely one of my favorites. And if you guys are looking to get into Total War Warhammer multiplayer, let's go ahead and get this party started. All right. So here we go. And remember, all my tournaments are typically, this was an invitational just based on people who reached out. And future ones will definitely have, yeah, Bob, I know, Bloodthirsters are buggy. They don't land properly. So it's not like a great option, really. Kislev, in my experience, beats khorne pretty badly in Domination too, just abusing the Bear Chariots. I agree with you 100%, Bob. It's a hard matchup. I think the best counters to Kislev are going to be the cathay cannons and Ogre Kingdoms. Like, Ogre Kingdoms is really good against Kislev, but Ogres got eliminated early. So many of the natural predators to Kislev were eliminated in round 1. So then they really got to just run over demons, which is their specialty. Congrats to all the players. Big props to Random and Bob there in the grand finals, and a salute to all those who have fallen as well. So big shout out to Bob, Tresh, Human Boy, Yes, Hadries, Random Nicks, Anticity, Ice Power Total War, the Angry Chihuahuas barking next door, Grombrindle, Loopy, and that is that. So, thank you all for joining. Once again, we'll be back soon with more tournaments. The next tournaments will be Domination Mode for sure. We're going to have 2 more Domination Mode tournaments in a row. So we'll have one that is going to feature a qualifier, and then whoever does the best in that will be representing their factions in the Domination Mode Faction War, which is going to be great. Yeah, I will consider new player tournaments. Yes, correct. All right. Take care. Adios, my friends. And thanks again to all the players for joining. Thank you guys for the donations, the support as always. And we'll be back with more good times soon.